A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Nightman, starring Miss Marcia Hunt. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
But, Miss Rhodes, it's impossible. This is a maximum security prison. We haven't had an escape in years.
Well, you have one now, Warden. Tom Nixon.
How can you be sure?
I saw him in New York City 2 days ago.
Did you know him well?
Well enough. He was my mother's star boarder for years. Why, I sat opposite him at the dinner table from the time I was a girl of 15 until he murdered her. And now, somehow, he's escaped from here and he's after me.
Miss Rhodes, it's impossible, I say.
Warden Graves, 10 years ago, when Mother was found murdered, I knew it couldn't have been anyone but Tom. I testified against him. I was the chief, well, practically the only witness at the trial. And when they sentenced him here for life, he swore to kill me. He swore in the open court to get even with me. For 10 years, I've lived in deadly fear of him. And now he's free.
And where exactly did you see the prisoner, Miss Rhodes?
That's just the point. That's why I know he's after me. I saw him in the building where I live.
Well, I don't see
He has a job there, running the elevator at night. I live all alone in a small 3-room penthouse on the 18th floor of an office building. The other night, about a week ago, I came home alone from the movies after midnight. I was already in the elevator before I noticed that there was a new nightman. It was Tom. His hair had turned white, and there was a stoop to his shoulders, but everything about him, the crook of his head, his high, thin nose, the hollow cheekbones, they were all the same. And then he turned and stared at me. I could see those deadly, pale, cold eyes, those heavy eyebrows, and that familiar, quiet, sarcastic mouth.
What floor, miss?
Oh, my floor. Yes, the penthouse, please.
The penthouse. Where's that, on the roof?
Yes, on the roof, please. 18th floor.
Okay.
It was like being in a cage with a wild beast. He kept watching me, peering at me furtively as the elevator moved upward with agonizing slowness. I shrank back to hide my face. The light in the car was dim. My only hope was that he didn't recognize me.
Here's your floor, miss.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. You can go back down. I don't need anything, thank you.
What's the matter? Did you forget your door key?
No, it's right here in my bag. I'll find it in a minute.
Want me to let you in?
Let me in. Oh, no.
I got pass keys to all the doors. It's no trouble.
No, thanks. But here. I have it right here. Good night.
And that was the first time you saw him?
Yes, Warden.
And that was all he did or said?
Well, yes, but it wasn't so much what he said as the awful feeling that he was only playing with me, torturing me until he was ready to kill me. Warden Graves, I don't even have a phone. I've always been afraid to be listed in the phone book. And the only way up to that penthouse was by that one elevator. I was trapped up there at his mercy.
What did you do?
I spent the night crouched against the wall with a flat iron in my hand, just waiting for that key to click in my lock.
But it didn't.
No, it didn't. The next day, I began to wonder if I wasn't imagining the whole thing. Then that night, just as I was going to bed... Who is it? Who's there?
Oh, excuse me, Miss Rhodes. There wasn't any answer to my ring.
What do you want? What are you doing here?
Just your laundry. They told me to put it inside in case you weren't home.
You might have given me time to answer the door.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Rose. I'm very sorry.
Well, don't let it happen again. Good night.
I was just thinking, you got no way to get up here or to get down except in my elevator.
No.
Even the service elevator doesn't get up this far, does it?
No.
You're really alone up here, aren't you?
Yes, Tom. Tom, if you come any closer, I'll kill you. Do you hear? I'll kill you with my
I
bare...
don't understand what you're talking about, miss.
Get out! Get out! Get out!
There's my buzzer. I better answer it.
I haven't seen him since, Warden. I barricaded myself in again that night. And next morning, I got down to the public phone and put through the call to you. But it wasn't any use.
That was the day I was out of town?
Yes. But I still don't see why they couldn't have told me. After all, I was giving them information.
It's one of our strictest regulations at Osawatomie State Penitentiary never to discuss any of our prisoners over the telephone.
That's what they said.
So you came all the way out here in person.
Yes.
And now you wish me to send someone to apprehend this man?
I want you to bring him back, that's all. Back where he belongs.
Miss Rhodes, I can't bring Tom Nixon back. He's here.
Oh, no, Warden Graves. Now, please. I've seen him with my own eyes. I've talked to him face to face. Maybe there's someone here calling himself Tom Nixon, but he's escaped. He's free. I know it.
Will you just step this way with me, Miss Rhodes?
No. No, I don't want to. I don't want to see his cell or talk to anybody or anything else.
Tom Nixon's dead, Miss Rhodes. He's buried in the prison cemetery. I'd like you to see his grave. This is a photograph taken of him just a week before he died. You see, he wasted away quite a bit. He was in the infirmary all last year. Became very religious, too, toward the end. Spent a good deal of his time praying.
Praying?
Yes. All the fight seemed to go out of him as soon as he knew he was seriously ill. But you'd say this was his picture, wouldn't you, Miss Rhodes?
Yes. Yes, it's Tom, all right.
And these little personal belongings? Ordinarily, we turn these over to the family, but in Tom's case, well, we couldn't trace any family. You'd recognize these as his?
Yes, I don't know them all, but with that gold watch, he used to wear it every Sunday at Mother's.
He wrote a couple of notes before he died to a fellow prisoner and to the prison chaplain. You recognize this handwriting?
Yes. Yes, it seems to be Tom's.
Well, Miss Rhodes, feel a little better about your elevator operator now?
You must think me a fool, an awful fool.
Not at all.
But the likeness was so extraordinary. Well, it was almost like seeing a ghost.
A ghost? Oh, come, Miss Rhodes. Now that you've gotten all this off your chest, isn't it perfectly obvious? That poor night man's done nothing or said nothing to you at all out of the ordinary. It's only that, well, you seem to be the victim of some kind of guilt complex.
Guilt complex? Well, I'm not guilty of anything.
Oh, what I mean is, Tom has been on your mind now for 10 years. You testified against him. He threatened you. Gradually, you came to see him everywhere.
No. Only this once. Only these last few nights.
All right. But now you know the truth. That should clear your fears forever. Tom's dead and buried. Go back and take a look at this night man again. Now that you know Tom's dead, I'll lay odds the whole resemblance will vanish.
I hope so.
My advice to you, Miss Rhodes, would be to go straight home. Use that elevator as much as possible. Get acquainted with this night man. For your own sake. Try to get the better of these hallucinations. Well, that's all they are. Just hallucinations.
Could you help me with these bags, please?
Okay. That all, miss?
Yes, thank you. Oh, this is for you.
No, thank you, miss. I never take tips.
Oh, it's all right. I'd like you to have it. I'm sure the superintendent wouldn't mind.
Superintendent hasn't got anything to do with it.
Oh? Well, aren't we going to start?
Yeah, all right. Been out of town?
Why, yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah, I haven't seen you for a couple of nights.
I was in the country visiting a friend.
Oh?
It's beautiful weather out in the country this time of year.
I wouldn't know.
Well, is this my floor already?
No, it's not.
Then why are we stopping?
Elevator's stuck. Power's cut off.
Cut off?
Mm-hmm.
But how could that happen? It's never happened before, as long as I've lived here.
Well, sooner or later, I guess it had to happen.
Isn't there some way we can get it back on? With some buzzer for the cellar or something.
If the power is off, the buzzer isn't working. So one of the lights is still on.
The lights?
Yeah. They'll probably go out in a minute, though. And then it'll be black in here. Black as the grave.
Well, let's get out of here. Open the door.
Can't. Won't budge.
But you haven't even tried.
I don't have to try. We're stuck between floors. The door's flush with solid wall.
Solid wall?
Yeah. It's kind of like being bricked up in a cell.
But there must be some way out of here. Isn't there a little door in the roof? Something you can pry open. Something you can climb up out of into the shaft.
I don't see any.
Well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Wait.
Wait.
Until somebody comes along downstairs and finds the elevator stuck and then rings up the superintendent.
But that might be ours.
Might be.
No! Help! Help! Somebody! Help!
Wasting your breath. Everybody's left the building. I know, because they've all signed out. Nobody's down in the basement, and there won't be any passengers ringing for an elevator this time of night.
You seem awfully sure about all that.
You're jumpy, ain't you?
No, I suppose, really, there's nothing to be afraid of. Sooner or later, they'll come.
Oh, sure. Sooner or later.
It's just that we're being stuck up here between...
You're not jumpy on account of me.
You? No, of course not.
But you were kind of jumpy with me the other night, weren't you?
The other night?
When I brought the laundry into your apartment, unexpectedly.
Oh, that. Well, that was a mistake.
A mistake?
Yes, I just thought you were someone else, a friend of mine, someone I'd always been afraid of.
Oh?
But now I've learned it couldn't be you, because this friend's dead and buried.
Dead and buried.
Yes.
What was his name? Maybe I know him.
Oh, the lights are out.
I knew they'd go sooner or later.
No, they can't. I can't see her alone in the dark with you.
So you are jumpy with me.
No.
I thought you said this guy was dead and buried.
Well, he is. I saw his grave.
And why are you screaming like that?
I'm not screaming. Only it's so dark in here. It's so close and creepy.
What did you do to this friend that makes you so jumpy?
Do? To him? Well, nothing. I didn't do a thing.
No?
It was he. He threatened me. He was a murderer. He killed my mother in cold blood 10 years ago. He was our boarder for 10 years. And then one afternoon, I came home, and there was Mother lying on the floor with her throat. No, where are you? I can't.
Go on.
No! I can't stand it. Tom, it is you.
I thought you said your friend was dead and buried.
Stop it! Stop torturing me! Now tell me the truth. You escaped, didn't you? You didn't die. And it was someone else's grave, just as I thought. You escaped and found me here. Answer me, Tom. Where are you? I can't see you. No, Tom, no. Tom, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to send you there. It was only because I loved you, Tom. And I hated Mother and hated you for loving her. It's only to get revenge on you both that I killed her and framed you. Mother was so cruel to me, Tom. She treated me like a slave. And all the time, vaunting you in my face. If you'd spoken one kind word to me, Tom, at the trial, just one word to let me know you love me. You're going to kill me, aren't you, Tom? No, Tom, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Why are we going down?
There's a passenger ringing in the lobby.
Then you're not Tom?
No, miss.
You're not going to kill me?
Not me.
It was all just a crazy hallucination. Just because the power went off and you look so much like Tom Nixon. Oh, forgive me. Please forgive me for being so absurd.
There's nothing to forgive.
And you'll forget all about those silly things I said, won't you? I didn't mean them. It was just because I was beside myself.
What silly things?
Oh, those silly things about my mother and Tom. And... Here, this is for you. No, I insist this time. I insist.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I never accept tips.
Oh, but I want you to...
Particularly from a dame who framed my twin brother. Evening, Warden. Good evening, Lieutenant Nixon. She confessed. I thought she would, Lieutenant.
No!
Suspense, in which Miss Marcia Hunt starred in William N. Robeson's production of Nightman, written by Lucille Fletcher. In a moment, the names of our supporting players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Here again are the Bickersons.
John Bickerson, you've got to stop it.
Stop it, Blanche. What do you want?
I'm going to the seashore.
Now, have a good trip. Put out the lights.
Don't be so funny. I mean on our vacation.
Vacation?
Yes, vacation.
Hey, what do you mean, seashore?
We agreed on the mountains.
The mountains are all uphill. Can our car make it?
Of course our car can make it, Blanche. It runs like new ever since I took it into our General Motors dealer for a performance service special. Good night.
But that was last week.
Blanche, believe me, a Guardian Maintenance Performance Service special means worry-free driving all summer long. Now, put out the lights.
Yes, for worry-free driving this summer, take your Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, or Cadillac into your dealers now for a performance service special.
Supporting Miss Marcia Hunt in tonight's story were Lawrence Stobkin and Charles Seal. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Mr. Joseph Cotton starring in Red Cloud Mesa. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
News follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.
Suspense. And the producer of CBS Radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
Among the American Indian tribes, none clings more tenaciously to the old ways than the Navajo. Herding their sheep across the vast upland plateau of northern Arizona and New Mexico, they live today much as they have for hundreds of years. And perhaps this is for the best, for the white man's world has never been too gentle with the Navajo. Our story is about such a one, a Navajo whom the white man taught to kill, and then punished because he could not forget his lessons. Listen then as Joseph Cotton stars in Red Cloud Mesa.
Red Cloud Mesa, starring Mr. Joseph Cotton. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Red Cloud Mesa, a great stone fist thrusting into the thin air above the flat plateau. There's none higher between Cayente and Ship Rock. So high the clouds catch on it sometimes. Red clouds if the sun is rising or setting. Red Cloud Mesa. Below the mesa, where the wheel tracks make across the reservation from Gallup, is the Red Cloud Trading Post. I'm the trader. One white man amongst thousands of Indians. Lonely? Sometimes, but I like it. I think of the Navajos as my people. They think of me as their friend. That's the way it's always been with us. I was born here. I grew up here. Today, I nearly died here. I've been expecting you, Four Thumbs.
You're my prisoner, Captain.
Is that the same gun you killed the guard with?
You're my... How'd you know?
The radio's full of it. How you shot your way out of the psychiatric ward of the Veterans Hospital.
You believe everything you hear on the radio and read in the newspapers?
Most everything.
You believe them before you believe a man who served under you? Or a man that was in your outfit in France?
In this case, yes.
For an Indian, a padded cell is no place to die.
It's no place for anyone to die.
And you won't turn me in, Captain?
Can't do anything else. Unless you leave.
I've got no place to leave, too, Captain. That's why I come here. I counted on you to help me. You always have.
Have I?
Yeah, in the bows that time. But you know, when my platoon was cut off for 6 days, you got through with help just in time. I couldn't have lasted a minute longer.
I got through a day too late.
You crazy. Look, Captain, I'm here. I'm alive. You got through just in time.
1, maybe 2 days too late. I'm sorry.
What you sorry for? I'm alive.
Yes, alive. He was alive when I got through to him that day in the bow. The only one left alive. He was giving orders to a platoon of dead men and carrying the orders out himself. It must have been like that for his forefathers who defended this final mesa here against the white man 100 years ago. Like them, he did not know how to say surrender. He did not notice that his mind had deserted the action and left his body all alone, defending the position. Give me that gun.
You gonna hide me?
I don't know yet. Give me the gun. And unlock the door.
No, I won't let them
That's
take
an
me.
order, Corporal. You're back in my outfit now. I take all the responsibility and I give all the orders. Give me your gun.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now open the door.
Yes, Captain. Have you heard the news, Mr. Bowman?
What news, Rabbit Stocking?
Oh, that psycho from Window Rock broke out. He killed a man, ditched his car in the Chihuili. They figure he's headed this way.
I heard.
We'd better be ready.
We are ready. Rabbit Stockings, I want you to meet one of us.
One of us?
One of us? I want you to meet Rabbit Stockings.
Yate, one of us.
Yate, Rabbit
If
Stockings.
he is headed this way, Mr. Bowman, I could begin to put my knowledge into motion.
Rabbit Stockings is referring to the correspondence course he is taking to learn to be an FBI man.
I am also taking a course in bodybuilding, pedicure, and diesel engines.
Why?
Because I don't want to be a dumb Indian all my life. I want to have a white man's diploma in something.
I think you're crazy.
Would you care to look at my latest Men Wanted bulletin?
No.
Truck is coming. Not a diesel. Gasoline-driven truck, I can tell by the sound.
Looks like old man McGurry's pickup.
Captain.
Maybe you'd better let Rabbit Stockings show you his FBI lesson, one of us.
Yes, sir.
Well, come then, because you are Mr. Bowman's friend, I will show you the secret place where I hide my white man's knowledge from the dumb Indians.
I still think you're
Go out
crazy.
the back way.
Yes, sir.
Was old man McGurry's pickup all right, but it carried a passenger. A passenger I was expecting. State Trooper Arturo Trujillo.
Buenos dias, George.
Hi, Arturo. What's new?
Oh, I got Indian trouble. Give me a pack of cigarettes and a candy bar.
There you are.
No. Where are you hiding the Indian?
That's why I pay my taxes, to pay you to find out where they hide.
New Mexico don't collect enough taxes for that. We need your help.
Don't ask me any questions, Arturo. Just don't ask me any questions.
Okay, George. Just don't make me look bad, that's all. I got to take a look around. I got to make a report. Don't forget, I got a citizen outside. Old man McGurry. I got to go through the motions.
I'll send Yellow Salt for someone to show you around.
Why can't Yellow Salt do it?
You don't understand these people, Arturo. Yellow Salt is an elder.
So he squats in the trading post porch all day while his wife herds the sheep?
It is the privilege of an elder.
I wish I knew their secret. Maybe I could get an honest day's work out of my wife.
I'll be right back. Yeah, I tell you, Yellow Salt.
Yate, Santi.
The ending of the day finds you well, Yellow Salt?
Well enough, but I have been asking myself a question.
What is the question, brother? Perhaps I can help find an answer.
It is this, Santi. What is the cop doing here?
Oh, he's perfectly safe. He's got to make a report. We don't want to make him look bad.
Santi, this presents another question. What is it he doesn't want to look bad about?
That psycho boy, Four Thumbs. He escaped and killed a man. The cop has orders to look for him. They want to put him back in a padded cell.
Well, then really, Santi, what can I do not to help?
Really not to help. Go find me a boy named One of Us who is with Rabbit Stockings so he can show this officer around so this officer can make out a report and not look so bad that they will send someone else who is thinking in terms of heroic actions or worse, someone who is sincere.
As you say, then, I will do my very best not to help, since this officer is not sincere.
You know where Rabbit Stockings hides his white man's lessons?
Everybody knows, in that little cave where the petrified tree rolled off the edge of Black Canyon.
Everybody knows?
Even so, only Rabbit Stockings does not know that everybody knows. So he still has his secret.
My thanks go with you, brother.
It is an honor to be able not to help the police.
Well, someone will be here to show you around in a few minutes, Arturo.
Oh, thanks, George. I just don't want to look... I just don't want to look bad.
You won't.
I always get the feeling these Indians of yours don't trust me.
They don't trust sincere people. Are you sincere, Arturo?
Huh? I don't get
The Navajos feel that their nation has been cheated out of almost everything they ever owned by sincere people. You know they have a point there?
Looks like you don't trust them.
What do you mean?
Oh, how come you got this This carbine leaning against the showcase.
Now, watch out. It's loaded.
Why?
I don't know, really. I lived with that gun from Red Beach to the Rhine. It sort of became a part of me. I feel better having it around.
You feel better, George? Or more sincere?
In the back room of the trading post, Ben Yahtzee, the silversmith, was thinking as he hammered away at a turquoise-studded gateau. Then a couple of women wandered into the store, carrying their babies strapped on cradle boards. Silently they squatted, never taking their eyes from Arturo Trujillo, the uniform symbol of white man's authority. A little later, old man Tornface slipped in without a word. His toothless mouth twisted into a permanent grin by the long-ago kick of a forgotten pony. Then a couple of dirty-faced kids with scraggly, uncombed hair. They sat there, all of them, wordless.
Make me nervous, George. Tell them to get out.
They belong here, Arturo. You don't.
You're making me look bad in front of them, George.
What do you care, just so you don't look bad in front of the white men in Gallup?
All right, George, all right.
He turned his back on his silent audience, stamped out his cigarette, and began to build a pyramid with the candy bars I'd given him for his wife. There was no sound now. It was silent inside the storeroom, silent as death. Outside, silence too, save for the Albuquerque plane far off, and closer, a fly buzzing on the screen door. The pyramid was finished, all but the capstone. Arturo carefully raised to the final candy.
You want me, Santi?
Oh, hey, what's the big idea? You made me wreck it.
You crazy.
What did you say?
I said you're crazy. Want to make something of it?
I was just having some fun.
Arturo, this is one of us. He'll show you around.
What? Oh, but don't bother. I guess I've been here long enough to make out a report. Old man McGurry is getting impatient.
Anything you say, Arturo.
Don't forget what you promised, George.
I won't, Arturo.
What did you promise, Santi? You double-crossed me?
No, one of us. I promised him that you would not get caught by somebody else in his territory and that you would always be a good soldier and not cause any more trouble so that you would not die in a padded cell.
Well, why did you send for me to show him around?
If you showed him around, then he could not find you hiding. Could he?
No, Captain.
You will go back now to Rabbit Stockings Cave. You will stay there until it is safe for you to take a Hogan.
Yes, Captain.
Hey, George, I forgot to... Hey, crazy Indian, put down that gun.
Fourth up! Cease fire!
George, I only came back for the candy.
Stood at attention, eyes straight ahead. State Trooper Trujillo lay in the doorway, one boot holding the screen ajar, lay very still. The buzzing fly eagerly circled the trickle of blood that oozed across the floor. The chant began, the chant of the enemy wave, the chant which would protect the people from the ghosts of this foreigner. I think you and I had better go up on the Mesa, Corporal.
Yes, Captain, but...
Yes?
Beg pardon, sir, but I thought I was to go back to the cave.
A new situation has developed since then. It is necessary to change the orders.
Yes, sir.
Forward! Out! The low scud stretched away to the limitless yellow horizon as we started up the narrow trail along the face of the Mesa. We climbed silently, steadily, 10 to 15 minutes. Upward across the sheer face of the cliff, four thumbs holding the proper combat patrol distance, 10 yards behind. Steadily up, always up, toward the gathering clouds, now orange with the dying sun.
Captain?
Yes, Corporal?
I've still got the carbine.
I'd forgotten. Forgotten completely. I turned slowly, erect, trying to look like a CEO in my cowhide jacket and Levi's. Yes, he still had the gun. A Section 8 psycho who was also a combat infantryman still had the gun and still held his prescribed position 10 yards behind me. Well, I should hope so, Corporal. A man isn't much good on patrol without a gun.
Yes, sir.
The trail was narrow now as it approached the switchback, 600 feet up the sheer cliff wall from the desert floor, and above, the clouds were thicker in the Mason's fist, all orange now, deep orange.
Captain?
Yes, Corporal.
Ever hear of an officer being shot in the back by one of his own men?
So you hear stories like that from time to time, back of the line, up front? Well, I suppose it depends on what kind of a leader a man is.
Yes, Captain.
We were clambering over boulders now, the great rocks that 4,000 ancestors had rolled down from the mesa top, thinking to keep the white men away forever. They almost did. But descending this final foot, the top of this dry mesa 200 feet above us in the clouds, they ran out of water. No one quit. They were still up there. And then we were at the switchback. And a moment later we were in the cloud, a red cloud now, where the misty blood of the day's death surrounded us, cold, damp, the ghost stuff of the ancient warriors whose bones still lay above us. Take 5, Corporal.
Yes, sir.
I stopped and leaned back against the cliff wall. The trail was only a foot wide here. Out beyond and below the red mist. I waited, a nosy ears coming by the sound of his footfalls, until at once he materialized beside me. He leaned back, too, careful to keep the carbine on his right side, the side away from me.
I heard plenty of stories like that overseas, Captain.
Oh, I dare say it's happened more than once. Any leader takes a chance. That's one of the risks of leadership. In combat, when a man's head races with blood, when it's kill or be killed, sure, it could happen, but...
But what, sir?
When a soldier comes back out of the lines, when a soldier is back in the rear area and safe, and begins to kill his own outfit, and there's nothing anyone can do to help him.
Help?
That's what I said. No longer any help for him. Then it's up to that soldier himself, if he isn't crazy, to figure out a way of saving the outfit he's destroyed.
If he isn't crazy. Yes, sir.
We're cut off completely up here, Corporal. You can do anything you want with the rest of the outfit. You've got the gun.
Yes, Captain.
That's the first time I never saw your carbine leaning against the counter, Sonsi.
And you never will again, Rabbit Stocking.
I would expect a dumb Indian to bury a man's weapon with him, but not a white man. It was a valuable gun.
My people believe a man is more valuable. And we respect your ancient customs.
Thank you. And thank your people. Must have been quite a climb, carrying his body all the way to the top of the mesa.
That's where he belonged. Up there with the other warriors.
Those old people, cut off up there without water. They must have gone crazy before they died.
Probably.
But they stuck it out when they could have quit.
Yes, they did. And he was their son.
Suspense, in which Mr. Joseph Cotton starred in William production of Red Cloud Mesa, adapted by Mr. Robeson from a story by William Eastlake. Supporting Joseph Cotton in tonight's story were Jay Novello, Vic Perrin, Lawrence Dodkin, and Howard McNear. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Mr. Dennis Day starring in Like Man, Somebody Dig Me. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Suspense. And the producer of CBS Radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
Some people are just too good to be true. They sacrifice their lives on the altar of service, the modest martyrs of everyday life. Their examples shine like so many bright and valiant lights in this black and naughty world. But perhaps their reward is not in heaven, but right here on earth. Perhaps they are the world's most colossal egotists, who presume to think they can change venality, greed, and sloth by blind humility. They serve, they suffer, they sacrifice, and who knows, perhaps they enjoy every agonizing minute of it. Listen then, as Miss Kathy Lewis stars in Everything Will Be Different, which begins in just a moment.
Now, Everything Will Be Different, starring Miss Kathy Lewis. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Herb, there's something I've got to tell you.
You go ahead, Cheryl. I'm all ears, the fella says.
I haven't had a friend for such a long time. A friend to talk to, like you.
Yeah, I know. You mind if I freshen up my drink before you get started with a confession?
Go ahead. You ought to know where everything is by now.
Yeah.
That's what I like about you, Herb. You always bring your own bottle. Perfect gentleman.
I'd die of thirst if I waited for you to furnish the booze.
Oh, I'd serve liquor if I could afford it. Just because I don't drink is no reason to spoil other people's fun.
Well, that's what I like about you, Cheryl. You're so broad-minded.
Well, live and let live, I always say.
Well, what do you got to tell me?
Herb, I'm not what you think I am. I was married once.
So what else is new?
Don't laugh at me, Herb.
All right, I'll be serious. How's about a little kiss?
Herb, don't go.
Don't you think it's about time we got better acquainted? We've been seeing each other now 3-4 months.
3 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days.
You've been counting.
Ever since the day you got mixed up down at the plant and came into personnel when you were looking for accounting.
Well, you have days like that.
Sorry?
About what?
Getting mixed up down at the plant?
Oh. Are you?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I won't know until I tell you about my husband.
Well, you're not still married.
Oh, no. He's dead.
Well,
Only, you see, Herb, they said I killed him.
Now, starring Miss Kathy Lewis, Act 2 of Everything Will Be Different.
Well, did you kill your husband?
I failed him. He needed needed me, and somehow I failed him. I don't know how. I gave him everything, all of me. Somehow it wasn't enough.
Some guys are like that, never satisfied. But this one is dead. Let's forget him.
I can't. Not until I've told you all about it.
Okay, hon. Let's have it.
Well, we sort of went together for a long time. It was a crazy kind of thing because Walter was a crazy kind of fellow. I wouldn't hear from him for days, and then all of a sudden he'd call up at the craziest time. Hello?
Hiya, doll.
Wally, do you know what time it is?
Time to see you, baby.
Nearly 11 o'clock.
Crazy. Meet me down at Nino's in a half hour.
Wally, I was getting ready for bed. I've taken off my face and...
Well, put it back on and meet me down at Nino's.
Wally, you've been drinking?
Oh, I've had a couple.
Wally.
Oh, now you know me, doll. I can handle it. Nino's in a half hour, eh?
All right, Wally.
Crazy.
Wally?
Yeah, doll.
Don't be late.
11:30 in the back booth.
I'll be there, Wally. We always sat in the back booth at Nino's. It was dark there and romantic-like. There wasn't any rock and roll on the jukebox, just pretty Italian songs. Only this night, like so many others, Walter was late.
Hiya, doll. Been here long?
I was just about to leave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got hung up. Hey, Nino, bourbon and ginger.
Cheers.
Wally, please have some coffee.
I don't want any coffee.
Why, Wally?
Why what?
Why do you drink so much?
Well, why not? Look at the kind of life I lead. A crummy job that got no future in it. A lousy furnished room to hang my hat in. Nobody to care about me.
I care about you.
You do?
Do you think I'd come down here in the middle of the night to be with you if I did?
Yeah, and that's another thing. We never get a chance to be alone. Always meeting on street corners or lousy bars. What kind of a life is that? You go back to your furnished room and I go back to mine. And we're just as lonely as if we didn't meet at all. A man ought to have a home. And a wife to come home to. And good hot food on the table. A man ought to have someone to take care of him.
And a woman ought to have someone to take care of.
Sure. It works both ways. It would... Wait up.
Why don't we what, Wally?
Get married. Why not?
Because you haven't asked me.
I'm asking you now.
I'd marry you in a minute, Wally. Except for one thing.
What?
You're drinking.
Oh, now, don't worry about that. Once we're married, what do I have to drink about? Will you marry me, doll?
Yes, Wally, I will.
Great. Hey, Nino, make that a double, hey? I got something to celebrate.
Now, please.
Oh, now, don't worry, honey. Don't worry. You'll see. After we're married, everything will be different.
I believed him. I think anything as important as marriage is bound to change a person, don't you? In time. Of course, Wally didn't change right away. He was even late for the wedding. When he got there was liquor on his breath. After all, a man only gets married once. Of course, we didn't have the time or the money for a honeymoon, but after a while, Wally got a better job. We were able to buy this house. I could quit my job and work full-time at the job a woman's best qualified for, making a home for her husband. That you, darling?
Yeah.
You're home right on time.
Yeah, the flight's on in 5 minutes.
Dinner'll be ready in a jiffy.
I'll have it in here on a tray.
Oh, Wally, it's such a nice dinner. Swiss steak, mashed potatoes, salad. Can't you eat at the table?
You wouldn't want me to miss the fights, would you?
No.
Then, like I said, I'll have my dinner in here by the TV. Okay?
Okay, dear. Wally. Are you asleep?
I was.
I can't sleep.
there'd be two of us.
Wally,
What?
let's go out some night.
Out?
Yes. Friday, say that there's a good movie at the drive-in.
You get good movies on TV. A little old, maybe, but good.
Oh, I don't care about the movie. But just let's go out.
What's the matter? Don't you like your home?
Yes. Oh, yes, Wally. But I'm in it all day
And
long.
I'm out of it all day long. When I come home, I don't want to go out again.
But just once in a while.
Listen. What do you got to complain about? You got everything a woman should want, haven't you?
Yes.
The trouble with you is you haven't got enough to keep you busy.
Oh, I keep busy enough.
Yeah, maybe what you need is a baby. That'd make things different.
Baby. Maybe things would be different if I had a baby.
They sure would. Now, shut up and go to sleep, will you?
Did you have a baby?
No. He never mentioned it again.
Guy must have had rocks in his head. A nice-looking gal like you. Hey, running out of ice. Oh, well, who needs ice? I'll just set the bottle down here beside me. There we are. I'm sorry for the interruption.
That's all right.
So what happened next?
Well, there was this woman lived next door. She was just about the only friend I had in the neighborhood. She used to drop in about every afternoon for a cup of coffee. She kept telling me,
Now, you don't know when you're well off. You got a good man. A good, steady provider. Don't let him get away from you. So what if he doesn't take you out as much as you'd like? He comes home every night, doesn't he?
yes.
Not like that rat I was married to. With him, it was anything in skirts or capri pants. Anything but me. Well, I fixed him good. I took him for everything he's got, so what have I got? A house, an empty house, and no one to come home to it.
You sound so bitter.
I am. I got a right to be.
I guess you have. I guess I haven't.
Yeah, that's right, honey. You got it made. So play it smart. You want to go to the movies. Your husband wants to look at TV, so let him. And take in a movie by yourself every now and then.
Oh, I don't think he'd like that.
Won't hurt to try, will it?
Well, I did try. To my surprise, Wally didn't make any objection. So I started going out to the movies by myself a couple times a week. And if this arrangement wasn't the most desirable, at least it did get me out of the house, back into the world, even if it was a world of make-believe. One night I did what I'd never done before. I walked out in the middle of a show. It was just too dull. And when I got home, I let myself in by the kitchen door, and the first thing I noticed, it was so quiet. The TV in the living room was turned off. At first I thought Wally had gone out, and then I heard a voice. A woman's voice.
Nah. She always sits through the second feature.
Well, I gotta be getting home.
Oh, now, come on, one more drink, eh? One for the road?
Oh, you twisted my arm.
Crazy. I'll be right back, eh? Hey, what are you doing here?
I live here, Wally. Remember?
What's the idea of sneaking up on me like this?
Your face is smeared with lipstick, Wally. Don't you want to wipe it off?
I like it that way.
I see.
Honey, who are you talking to out there?
My wife, Shirley.
Shirley? Why, hello, honey. I just dropped in to ask you for that recipe you told me about the other day, and your husband insisted I have a little drink with him, and so I did.
So I see.
Well, I guess I'd better be toddling off home.
That's right. You'd better.
Well, good night, all.
Well?
Oh, stop standing there with that long-suffering, holier-than-thou look on your kisser. Get off my back.
You're drunk.
Yeah, I'm drunk. And I'm going to get drunker.
Give me that bottle.
Yeah, sure I will.
I said give it to
Hey, now,
me.
be careful. It's my last bottle.
If only it were.
Who do you think you are?
Your wife, Walter. And I try to be a good wife. I try to do for you the way you want. I must be a failure. What I saw here just now couldn't be. And in my house, in the home I tried to make for you.
Oh, why don't you knock it off? This is the first time she's been over here.
Oh? The other times you've gone over there? Is that it? Is it?
What if it is?
Why, Walter? Why?
Why? Look in the mirror and you'll see why. Come on, look at yourself. You ain't as young as you once was. You're getting flabby and wrinkled, and you never laugh. Oh, you're a sad sack to live with, kid. A dull one. Now, you take this Thelma, babe. She's a barrel of laughs. It never hurts anyone to laugh. Never hurts anyone to love his neighbor, neither. They tell us to love our neighbor, and that Thelma sure makes it easy. Oh, cut out the hysterics and give me that bottle. I need another drink.
No!
I said give it to me.
No!
It's my last bottle. You broke my last bottle, you...
He whirled around, snatched a knife from the rack on the wall, and started for me. I still held the neck of the broken bottle in my hand. He lunged at me. I threw up my hand to protect myself, and he got the jagged bottleneck in the face. He stumbled past me and fell. Somehow fell on the knife. And lay there on the kitchen floor, quite still. And I knew that he was dead.
We'll return to now. Starring Miss Kathy Lewis, Act 3 of Everything Will Be Different.
Oh, you poor kid.
I had to tell you, Herb.
Oh, I'm glad you did. I'm so glad you did. I never heard a sadder story in my whole life. No ice. We out of... Oh, yeah, that's right. We're out of ice. Well, we still got booze, so who needs ice? So, go on.
Well, that's all there is to it. At first, the police thought I'd done it. Circumstantial evidence.
Oh, yeah.
But after they heard my story a half-dozen times and checked his fingerprints on the knife handle and took pictures, all the things they do, they called it accidental death. But I don't know. To me, it's the same as if I had murdered him.
Oh, Cheryl, honey, how can you say that?
Because at that moment I wanted to murder him. I wanted him to be dead.
Yeah, but you didn't kill him.
Didn't I? If I hadn't broken his last bottle, he wouldn't have come at me with that knife. And if I hadn't cut his face with that bottleneck...
Then he'd have killed you with that knife.
Maybe not. Oh, anyway, he wouldn't have stumbled and killed
Now,
me.
look, hon, this is silly. You can't go on through the rest of your life blaming yourself.
Don't you think I'm to blame?
No, of course not. Now, come on, hon. How about that little kid?
No, wait.
Come on.
No, wait, Herb. There's one thing that worries me about you.
What?
Well, you're drinking.
What? Oh, that? Well, all right. You can stop worrying. That's the last of the bottle.
Why do you drink so much, Herb?
Well, I don't know. Out of loneliness, I guess. You talk about loneliness? I got nobody either. And all right, I might as well say it. I've been thinking now a long time about you and me. You all alone in this house, me all alone, that little furnished room. I've been thinking, why don't we get married?
You mean Even after what I just told you?
Sure. It's all over with. It's dead and gone. How about it, Asher?
Huh? I must admit the thought has crossed my mind. Only
what?
I do worry about your drinking.
Oh, forget it, hon. You'll see. Once we're married, everything will be different.
Suspense, in which Miss Kathy Lewis starred in Everything Will Be Different, written, produced, and directed by William N. Robeson. Supporting Kathy Lewis in tonight's story were Lawrence Dobkin, Virginia Gregg, and Peter Leeds. Listen again next week when we return with Mr. Dennis Day, starring in Like Man, Somebody Dig Me. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
They call themselves the Beat Generation, by which they do not mean defeated. They mean beatific, which is to say, blissful. They're cool, man. They're way out there. They dig jazz, which has no melody, and poetry, which makes no sense, at least to the rest of us squares. They're kids seeking an answer, and to the Beat Generation, the answer seems to be found in inaction, in non-feeling. They couldn't care less. But face a beat cat with reality, face him with murder, and what happens? Listen then as Dennis Day stars in Like Man, Somebody Dig Me, which follows in just a moment.
Like Man, Somebody Dig Me, starring Mr. Dennis Day. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Man, like crazy. Man, I dig everything. I dig Zen and underarm deodorant. I dig Elvis Presley and Sputniks. I even dig people that drive right on by when I'm hitchhiking. People call me the tennis shoe, because I wear them and because I'm always on the move. But mostly because I'm cool, man. I could stand out here in the middle of this desert all day. And you know something? It wouldn't bother me.
You want a lift?
Hey, I'm with you, chick.
How far you going?
I just stick with Route 66, man, on to the ocean.
We're on our way to Las Vegas.
You going to California?
Like I wrote a poem, man. I want to read it to the Pacific Ocean.
The Pacific Ocean?
Well, I already read it to the Atlantic.
Well, if you read it to the Atlantic, why bother to read it to the Pacific?
Man, have you ever read a poem to the Atlantic in January?
Well, no,
Oh, man.
We almost didn't stop for you.
You know, most people won't take a chance on hitchhikers these days.
Yeah, you're lucky we picked you up.
And look, man, I don't know what you want, but I ain't got it. I got no rose to pin on you, no medals. Dig? I just stand by the road with my thumb up. If you want to pick me up, cool. If you want to drive on by, too cool. If you want to stop the car and let me out, that's okay with me. Because, man, I'm cool. I just don't care. You're the driver and I'm just along for the ride. You dig?
I'm just making conversation.
Uh-huh. If you're going to Vegas, man, you'll have to turn off at Kingman. I don't dig Vegas. Vegas is the squares. Right now I'm going to get some shut-eye. Oh, I'm tired, man. The cops run me out of town last night for building a fire to keep warm. Oh, I'm tired, man.
You mean just for building a fire?
Like, how was I to know all that wood was somebody's house? I pulled down the lids of my eyes and made like I was asleep. It was all I could do to keep from busting out laughing. It was kicks, man. These squares were real kicks.
Walter, turn on the radio.
Okay.
Walter, I don't like that man.
Oh, Mary, don't be...
Your voice, you want to wake him up? I think he's crazy, and I think he's dangerous.
Honey, he's perfectly harmless. I see his type on the road a lot lately. Kind of a fad. They call themselves the Beat Generation. Pretend that nothing matters to them anymore. They just drift. He's harmless.
Well, just the same, I wish we hadn't...
We interrupt Matinee Melodies to bring you another bulletin on the killer who's been terrorizing southern Nevada.
Walter, listen.
The hatchet maniac's fourth victim was just found brutally murdered in the small Nevada town of Searchlight, not far from the Arizona border. Only one eyewitness has seen the killer. She described him as being medium height, dark coloring, wearing a red nylon jacket and tennis shoes.
Walter,
Use your head,
Mary.
You're in Arizona.
But the description fits. And he could be carrying anything in that bag of papers.
You want to look in a bag, like?
I thought you were asleep.
Don't jump. Stay cool. I'll put it in the front seat and you can look see. Man, it don't even zip a shut. So what do you dig inside? A bottle of wine from the supermarket, typewritten copies of my poems, a clean shirt with a dirty collar. Man, I travel so light I don't even dig toothbrushes. So what am I going to do with a hatchet? Man, there's one thing about squares. They never, ever learn.
Mr. Kingman, buddy. Where do you want to get out?
Anywhere.
We've got to get some gas, too.
Oh, that's strange. The streets are almost deserted.
With that maniac running loose, everybody's probably locked up indoors.
Walter, shouldn't we have turned off by now? We're just about out of town.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Here's a place. See? Cloth, food, and gas. Look, why don't we pull in here and ask and get some gas at the same time?
I don't see anybody.
Like maybe they're closed.
Lights are still on. I'll go inside.
Leave me, Walter.
There's nothing to be afraid of, man.
Well, I'm certainly not going to stay out here alone.
Why, thanks, Jake.
Walter!
Like, who was I to stay in the car when the party's inside? Just as we go through the front door, some cat hustles in from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron.
Oh, there you are. I didn't hear you drive up.
Walter, you've got blood on your hands.
Mary.
Please don't be alarmed. Tomorrow's special's chicken and dumplings. Somebody has to kill the chickens. That's why I didn't hear you drive up.
Oh.
We need some gas.
Yeah, man. Like gasoline?
Man, like right away I got eyes to see this cat ain't nobody's pop. And he ain't never run no gas station before. What do you think? I'm going to tell these squares? I drop my bag at the end of the counter, and then I walk around to the back of the station to scrub some of the dirt off my face. It takes me quite a while to scrub, but I come back around the station just in time to see the two squares drive off down the road. And what do you think happens? Instead of turning right to go to Vegas, they turn to the left. And when I come in the cafe, I surprise this cat behind the counter.
Hey, hey, man, you walk up on people like too quiet.
That's why they call me the tennis shoe.
But you're hip. They call me the cat.
I can tell why. Hey, where'd those two squares go?
Mexico.
Mexico? They said they were going to Vegas.
Yeah, I know. They asked me where to turn, and I told them. If they drive long enough, they'll wind up in Mexico.
Man, you are too cool. I leave the cat, and I'm walking west on 66 with my thumb ready. 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most. And the squad car with the flashing lights steams up to a stop. Well, right away, they pull out those big, shiny pistols. And right away, I know what they're thinking. This is really going to be crazy.
Hold your hands in the air.
Man, like always.
Hold them up high if you don't want your head blown off. That's better. Let's search him, George.
Hey, easy, man. I laugh when people do that.
He's clean. What you got in the bag?
I got goodies for Grandma. You dig Grandma?
Step away from it.
See what's in the bag, George.
Okay. I got it. What is it? We've got him.
Like got who, man?
This is the hatchet killer, Charlie.
I look over to see what's in the bag, and I almost flip. There, on top of the clean shirt with the dirty collar, on top of all that cruel poetry, on top of an almost full half bottle of wine, there's this hatchet I've never seen before. Man, like I'd laugh. But the hatchet is all bloody.
Better give us your name and give it to us fast.
I told you, man. I'm the tennis shoe.
I don't like your flip attitude.
So flip, man, flip.
I don't know whether you realize it or not, but you're in bad trouble. You've been caught with a murder weapon and no identification and no alibi.
I told you my story, but you don't dig it.
You expect me to believe that you've just been passing through this state?
Don't forget that Bronson cat in Gallup, New Mexico. He's all the alibi I need. I was swinging at a party at his place last night. All night. He digs me, so I'm not shook. This is a new kick, Daddy-O. I ain't never been up for murder before. Oh, it's too cool.
Kingman Sheriff's Office. Yeah, he's here. It's the Gallup Police.
Hello. Hey, you got him there with you? I'll put him on. Will you shut up so I can hear? Hello? Mr. Bronson, this is the Kingman Sheriff's Office. I got a man here that says you know him. He was at a party at your place last night. Calls himself the tennis shoe. What? Just a minute. Said you never heard of you.
Hey, let me talk to him. Hello, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey, this is me, the tennis shoe.
And you, like I know.
Well, tell the man.
I would, but I keep forgetting.
Hey, Bronson, look, this is for real. They're trying to pin a murder on me.
Crazy, man. You're way out there. Way out. Murder. What kicks?
Like, man, won't somebody dig me?
Now, do you want to tell me why you killed him?
Yeah, but I didn't.
You were carrying a hatchet that killed 5 people. How did it get in your bag?
The cat must have put it there.
Who's that?
I told you already. You know, the guy that was at Pop's place.
Who else saw him beside you?
I told you, the 2 squares. What give me the lift?
The man and woman you sent in the wrong direction?
I didn't send him in the wrong direction. The cat did. He's cool. He did it for a kick.
You killed the old man for a kick?
No, I'm innocent. It's all a collection of circumstances. I'm just a victim of the world, man.
Take him down and book him for first-degree murder. What's going on out there?
Most everybody in town's out front. They're yelling for the hatchet killer.
You aren't going to let him in here, Chief, huh?
Yeah, if they make up their mind they're coming in, it's going to take more than me to stop them.
Well, you can't let them get me. Don't pay any attention to them, Daddy-O.
I'm going to go out there and try and talk them out of it.
Yeah.
Quiet. We're all friends and neighbors. Now, I know how you all felt about Pop Daniels. He was a friend of mine, too. But I know you all well enough to know that you all want to see justice done.
That's what we brought the ropes for. That's right. We want the killer. We want the killer.
Now, quiet down a minute. Quiet down.
It's like a nightmare. A million hands pull and drag me out of the jail across the street and into this sleepy little park in the center of town. I try to laugh, man. I mean, it's a new kid being carried around like that. I try to laugh. Yeah, but no laugh comes out. And then I see this rope, the one with the long knot in it. And all of a sudden, I know that the only cat that's going to be swinging at this party is me.
left that man at Pop's place to give us the wrong turn.
Oh, I should have paid more attention to my sense of direction.
All that driving, and here we are right back in Kingman. Oh, you know, there was nobody in the street when we came through, and... Well, now, look at that crowd over there in the park.
Probably a political rally of some sort.
No. Look at that rope. They're going to hang somebody.
Hey, old-timer. Yes, sir? What's going on?
They caught that fellow what's been going around chopping up people over in Nevada. But he sure made a mistake when he killed old Pop Daniels here in Kingman this afternoon. We don't put up with that kind of thing.
Look at that man they're putting the rope on. Isn't that the same?
That's our hitchhiker. They're making a terrible mistake. He was with us all afternoon.
Walter, where are you going?
They'll hang him if I don't stop him.
Come back here. They'll hang you, too.
Hey, man, give me a break.
Wait.
I didn't do it.
Wait.
Listen.
This man is innocent.
Mistake. Let me help here.
Let me through.
Dig me.
He's innocent. I can prove it.
I want to die.
Prove me. Give me a chance and listen to me. If you hang him, you'll hang an innocent man. I can prove he's innocent. Because he was with my wife and me all afternoon.
Man, am I glad to see you. After that, it really wasn't any trouble. They told the cops where I'd been. The cops were mad because I wasn't the killer, but there wasn't anything they could do about it. And the next morning, I woke out of jail into the sunshine and the fresh air. Like, man, it's really great to be alive. And the world looks good. Even people look good. I walked down the main drag, and in less than 5 blocks, I passed a little kid that tries to con me into buying up all his newspapers so he can go home early. A neon sign that screams good food and dance. 100 cars driven by guys that don't own them. And no apology for some guy I bumped into. And then I start wondering, what am I so gone about?
Young man.
Yeah, like?
I wonder if you'd be so kind. You see, my daughter let me out of her car. She told me the optometrist was straight ahead. And somehow I got turned around. Would you lead me to the right door?
Optometrist?
Yes, I broke my glasses this morning.
Well, Grandma, I don't know how you did it, but you drifted yourself down about 2 doors. Here, take my arm.
Oh, thank you so much. You're such a kind young man.
Hey, watch it. There's a step here.
Cool in here.
Well, I didn't know you were hip, Grandma.
And what nice music on the radio.
Yeah, Mom, it's way out. Now, look, here's a chair. You sit down.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, my, whatever would I have done without you?
Shh. There's a sign over there that says, quiet, please. I'll tell the receptionist you're here. Don't go away.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Are you one of the family or a friend of the deceased?
Oh, it's my mother. Yeah, she doesn't want to view the body. She just wants to sit here and meditate about the dearly departed.
I see.
Yeah. Just leave her alone with her thoughts. I'll be by and pick her up in a while.
We do our best to be a comfort in a time of trial and stress.
I get out of the street and I hot-foot it way out in the desert before I fall down and bust down laughing. Hey, I think of that old chick sitting in that funeral parlor waiting for a pair of glasses. And I just about crack up, man. Oh, I cracked. One thing about squares, man, they just never, ever learn.
Suspense, in which Mr. Dennis Day starred in William N. Robeson's production of Like Man, Somebody Dig Me, written by George Bamber. In tonight's story were Lillian Bayeth, Bill Quinn, Jack Moyles, Paul Freese, and Charles Seal. Listen again next week when we return with Miss Agnes Moorehead starring in Headshrinker, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
You're about to hear the antagonist, the bad guy, happens to be the doctor. But let the AMA and the APA note, we do not wish to imply that all psychiatrists are heavies, nor that psychoanalysis is nonsense. Without psychotherapy, a lot of us would be dead, or worse, so sick that death itself would be a welcome surcease. So listen to Headshrinker, starring Miss Nina Foch and Mr. Helmut Dantine, which begins in just a moment.
Come on and go in a Plymouth, a go-kart through and through. You really go for a Plymouth, and Plymouth will really go for you.
15 minutes behind the wheel. That's all it takes to convince you that the 59 Plymouth's really got it. Got the newest of new design, new sport car handling ease, new Fury performance, new get up and go. Just tell your Plymouth dealer you want to sample the go. Then you turn the key and Plymouth's new Golden Commando V8 leaps into life. Now you just push a button and go on your way to the most fun-filled 15 minutes of your driving life. See your Plymouth dealer. Take your fun drive in the 59 Plymouth real soon.
You really go for a Plymouth, and Plymouth will really go for you.
And now, Headshrinker, starring Miss Nina Foch and Mr. Helmut Dantine. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The doctor will see you now, Mrs. Ellender.
Oh, thank you. I'm his last appointment.
As usual, Mrs. Ellender. I'll be leaving shortly myself. As usual.
Thank you. As usual.
Well, how are you this afternoon?
All right, I guess. The couch, or may I sit down?
The couch, I think. Your associations seem to flow more freely on the couch.
All right. You're the doctor. I said you're the doctor.
I heard you.
Well, that's supposed to be funny.
Is it?
Well, you laughed the first time I said it. The first day I came here.
I love to put you at your ease. I'd heard it before.
You've heard everything before, haven't you, Doctor?
Does it seem that way to you?
Everything but this.
What?
I'm going to kill you.
When?
Before this hour is over.
Why?
Well, look at your notes, Doctor. You've taken any notes while you've been scratching away behind me all these months? I don't know, maybe you've just been doodling. Maybe you're drawing pictures. Yeah, that's probably it. Dirty pictures. That must be quite a file you have on me. Ruth Ellender, manic, depressive, compulsive, obsessoid, check and double check neurotic. How long have I been turning myself inside out for you? How long have I been doing my psychic striptease for you? How many hours have I spent on this couch? How many?
You know as well as I.
Oh, no, I don't. Once I knew the time of day. Once I knew how many days it was until Christmas. I could tell when the rent was due, give or take a day or two. I could place myself in time fairly well. No longer. Now there is no time. Now there's nothing but 5 o'clock to 5:45 every afternoon, Monday through Friday. The other 23 hours and 15 minutes of the day, I don't know where they go. Saturday and Sunday. What do you suppose happens to me on Saturday and Sunday, dear, dear doctor?
This is a phase of the treatment.
Oh, yes, I know. Transference, it's called, to be followed by counter-transference, and when that's completed, I'll be a whole person. But hasn't that transference gone a little bit too far? I don't know any place where Freud suggests the weekend is a particularly effective time for transference. Nor quiet, out-of-the-way resorts as a substitute for the doctor's office.
You shouldn't be reading Freud.
I know. I should just take your word for it. If I went to the great man himself, I might find out what a swindler you are. What happened to those weekends, Werner? What happened to the Saturdays and Sundays of my transference? Am I now to expiate your sins in the agony of solitary counter-transference?
Each patient requires his own kind of treatment.
And some other patient needs the weekends. Is she as pretty as I am? As intelligent? As sick?
If you are dissatisfied with the progress of your therapy, you are free to quit at any time.
Quit? Oh, no, Werner. I can't quit. You know I can't quit. I love you, Werner. Heaven help me. I love you.
And now, starring Miss Nina Foch and Mr. Helmut Dantine, Act 2 of Headshrinker.
Love. I said I loved you. What is love, Doctor?
What is it to you?
What is it to me? What is it to me? Always you answer a question with a question. There was a Greek who did that once.
Socrates?
That's right. You're a lot like him, Doctor, and you know what happened to him. And why.
Aren't you projecting?
Projecting? I gave up little boys when I stopped being a little girl.
You were speaking of love.
I was a little girl once. Seems strange, but I was. I was Daddy's little girl. I'd run down the walk to meet him in the late afternoon screaming, Daddy's home, Daddy, Daddy's home. He'd sweep me up in his arms, kiss me. My cheek would be all scratchy against mine. His mustache would tickle. And he smelled funny, but nice. Sweaty and sweet, bitter breath of a pipe smoker. The smell of a man. Oh, we had so much fun together. In evenings, I would curl myself up in his lap while he was reading the paper. He never minded a bit. And on Saturdays, when it was raining, I'd hang around his workbench in the garage while he was building something. Sawdust, wood shavings. Well, they're man smells, too, you know, Daddy. Daddy, 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 dear Daddy. Daddy, you know what I'd like to do next Saturday? I'd like to go to the beach with you. Will you take me, Daddy? Please take me. Will you? We'll go down early in the morning. We'll stay all day, and we'll have lots and lots of hot dogs. And... Oh, no, Daddy, just you and me. We don't want Mother along. Why did it stop? Why did it have to stop? Why can't I sit in your lap anymore, Daddy? Why? Why, Daddy? Why, Daddy? Daddy? Why?
Here, I will give you something to quiet you.
I don't want any of your shots. I don't need your fancy magic medicine with the unpronounceable name. I want my Daddy. I want it to be like it was before.
Before?
I want it to be like... Before.
I was 11 or 12 before he changed. He changed suddenly, all at once. He wouldn't let me curl up on his lap anymore. He'd push me and tell me I was a big girl now. He'd act embarrassed, as if he were almost ashamed of me.
Probably not ashamed, but certainly embarrassed. You were growing up.
I didn't want to grow up. I didn't ask to grow up. I wanted to be Daddy's little girl. That's all I ever wanted. I want all those boys in school. And later, it smelled like milk. Milk that was turning sour, not pipes and sawdust and sweat. The cheeks weren't scratchy. They were just boys.
Yet you married one of them.
Well, yes, I knew I'd marry him from the moment I met him at that party on the Christmas holidays. We started going around together once a week, then twice a week. And soon we were seeing each other every night. And then he would call me his princess. And he was my knight on a white horse. And we were married in church. I was a June bride. And Daddy gave me away. And then I was Mrs. George Ellender. I wasn't a princess anymore, and George wasn't a knight on a white horse. It wasn't like the fairy stories where they lived happily ever after. Those stories don't tell about the sinks full of dirty dishes. They make no mention of the sleep smell of the dawn embrace or the painful tedium of getting to know someone after you're married to him. But we made it all right. We got through that first year. We played house. I called him Daddy, and he called me Mommy. He thought it was fun. Well, it was fun. But you changed all that. You awakened me. You taught me reality. You opened my eyes, you and your psychoanalysis. Why couldn't you have left me alone? Why didn't you let this sleeping bitch lie? Who do you think you are, God?
No, but perhaps you think I am.
Oh, no, not God. The devil, maybe, but not God.
Anthropomorphism, the last refuge of the ignorant and the immature.
Oh, come off those big words. They don't impress me anymore. Save them for your next victim.
Victim?
Yes, victim. Lawyers have clients. Storekeepers have customers. Doctors have patients, but you have victims. Why me, though? Why'd you pick on me? There were other women at that party where we met. Lots of them. Nice, juicy, neurotic ones. Why me?
You sought me out.
Oh, come now. Who lit the cigarettes? Who brought the drinks? Who danced attendance and who told me I was more disturbed than I realized?
The fantasies of rationalization.
The distinguished psychiatrist, the great healer, concerned with poor little me. The beard, like a messiah. The gentle voice, with just enough of Vienna in it. The compassionate eyes. I arrived at that party in the best of health. I left it a very sick woman who could be made well only by you. You convinced me that I was leading a meaningless life, that I was unhappy and maladjusted and immature. You assured me that I would only realize my fullest potential through psychoanalysis. You practically begged me. No. You seduced me into becoming your patient.
You came here of your own free will.
Oh, no, I came here of your will and against my husband's.
It's only natural for a husband at first.
At first? George didn't have a chance. You saw to that. You tore him down piece by piece until there was nothing left of him or our marriage.
Your decision to divorce your husband was arrived at by you after you realized the real reasons why you married him.
Oh, nuts. I've been on this couch too long for that kind of double talk, Werner. You guided my free association every inch of the way. You led me, so deftly to the water. And then you let me think it was my idea to drink. That first night, when you took me to dinner, I didn't know then, how could I, that no ethical analyst would have suggested such a thing. I thought it was part of the therapy. Oh, I was so easy for you, wasn't I, Werner? It must have been very little fun for you, really, no struggle. Poor Werner, I took away your sense of conquest, didn't I? But I gave you everything else. Everything. Willingly. I loved you, Werner. You were a god. My god. Your pipe, your beard. You were...
Daddy?
What a contemptible thing to say. What an evil, dirty man you are.
You see why it has become impossible for you to continue as my patient?
Yes.
I told you when I became your lover that I could no longer be your doctor.
And you were right. And so that's the last time I will ever lie on that couch. From this moment on, I shall no longer be your patient, and you will no longer be my doctor.
A very mature decision.
Yes, because now I'm going to kill you.
And now, starring Miss Nina Foch and Mr. Helmut Dantine, Act 3 of Headshrinker.
That gun is loaded.
Do you think I'm just acting out my aggressions? I'm not that sick, dear doctor. The gun is loaded.
You have considered the consequences?
All of them.
If you take my life, society will take yours.
They won't get the chance. There's another bullet in this gun. There's several.
I could ring for help.
Go ahead. You'll be dead when it gets here.
You're quite determined to kill me?
Quite.
Do you feel qualified to judge, condemn, and execute another human being?
As qualified as any other woman who's been rejected by the man she loved and found him not worth her loving. But I don't hate you as much as I loathe myself for having loved you. I see you now for what you are. A ridiculous little man. I wonder how you'd look without that beard. I wonder if you have any chin under it.
Don't you think this comedy has gone far enough?
It is a comedy, isn't it? And you're the comedian. The apostolic descendant of Sigmund Freud. From all our sins, dear Freud, deliver us. Thy will be done. Deliver us not into our it, and forgive our ego. For thine is the power and the superego forever and ever. And little bearded Werner is thy vicar on earth.
You're becoming hysterical. Now, put that gun away and get a hold of yourself.
I'm enjoying our little comedy. And my hour isn't over for 12 more minutes. It is my hour. I'm paying for it.
You're insane.
Insane is a legal term, not a psychiatric term. Remember, we learned that early on the couch. There is no such thing as insanity, only varying degrees of adjustment to reality. There, see how well I learned my lesson? But there's so much more I don't know. For instance, Doctor, I've often wondered why you chose psychiatry as your specialty.
I've always been interested in the human mind.
Honestly?
Yes, how it works. Why people do the things they do. Our number one problem in this country is mental health.
Yes, I know, and you're dedicated to combat this scourge at $20 an hour.
That is not an exact...
It's quite a racket. All that money, plus the innermost secrets of some of the town's most prominent men and women.
The ethics of my profession.
Were you ethical with me?
Ruth, please try to understand me. You were not just a patient. You were so much more to me. You made me a man.
I know. So you told me. But you didn't tell me about the one before me. The one who tried to commit suicide after you refused to continue therapy. I've been doing a little checking. It's very interesting the things you hear around town when your name is mentioned. You know, Werner, you aren't very highly thought of in this community.
What do you
I'm surprised no one has named you as co-respondent in a divorce case yet. How many of your patients stay married after you're through with them? What is it you have against marriage, Werner?
I can't be responsible for what a person does once he learns the truth about himself.
Of course you can't. A surgeon can be held responsible if he leaves a pair of pliers inside a patient after an operation. An obstetrician could be held responsible for a bungled delivery. But you can't be sued for a ruined life. It's a great out you have. The patient did it himself. Name me one patient you've made happy.
Psychoanalysis does not guarantee happiness.
Now you tell me.
It seeks to help the individual to adjust to reality. There is no such thing as happiness.
That's not what you said once.
There is only the absence of angst.
Translation, please.
Angst, anxiety, fear. A person can function normally only when he has rid himself of fear.
What are you afraid of, Werner?
Me? Why, nothing.
Then why do you hide behind that beard?
Why,
Aren't you afraid to look like other men, lest people realize that's all you are? Just another man.
No, of course not.
Why do you use your analyst couch as a lonely hearts club? Can't you meet women any other way? Are you afraid to compete with other men in the world of women?
Ruth, don't say things like that.
Why? Because they're true? Are you afraid of the truth, Werner? Of reality?
Ruth, you said you loved me once.
So I did. And you said you loved me. And I believed you. But now I know you didn't love me. You hated me. You hate all women. And you hate the happiness they can bring to a man. So you try to destroy love wherever you find it. You aren't an evil man, Werner. You're a sick man.
I know I am. But what can I do? I sit here all day long, listening to the deepest problems of others, but who can I turn to with my problems?
Forgive the bad joke, Werner, but what you need is to be psychoanalyzed.
I was, you know that.
Then you need a refresher course.
No, Ruth. I need you.
Me?
Yes.
Oh.
You. You know all about me. You understand me. I need your help, Ruth. Help me, Ruth.
No,
Please.
no, Werner, no.
You must help me, Ruth. Please help me.
You seem to forget that I came here to kill you.
But you didn't really mean it. You were acting out your aggressions through, but you wouldn't go that far.
Oh, yes, I would.
No, not when I need you so desperately.
You're really afraid, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, terrified. But not of dying.
Of living?
Yes, without you. I know now I can't go on living without you.
Then the biggest help I could be to you would be to kill you. But I couldn't do that now. It would be ungrateful of me.
Ungrateful?
Yes. You see, Doctor, you've cured me.
Of what?
Of you.
But I need you.
That, my dear Werner, is your problem? Well, I see my hour is nearly up.
You're not leaving me.
Yes.
But you can't. No, you can't.
Oh, yes, I can. You are no longer my doctor, my father, my lover, or my God. You're just a frightened little man.
Ruth. Please, Ruth. Ruth.
Oh, I might as well leave this gun with you. I have no further use for it. Good luck, Werner.
Suspense, in which Miss Nina Foch and Mr. Helmut Dantine starred in Headshrinker, written, produced, and directed by William N. Robeson. The nurse was played by Florence Hawksworth. In just a moment, a word about next week's story of suspense.
Of all leading filters, cigarettes, Kent filters best, Kent filters best. It makes good sense when you smoke Kent, Kent filters best. Of all of the brands of cigarettes, Kent takes the best, Kent takes the best. A richer taste than all the rest, Kent filters best. It makes good sense when you smoke Kent. Of all leading filters, cigarettes, Kent filters best.
Listen. Listen again next week when we return with James and Pamela Mason in The Dealings of Mr. Markham. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
A matter of execution. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Burton.
I swear, Warden, I thought you'd never get it.
Burton, your lawyer just phoned from the governor's mansion.
All right, he phoned. What did he say?
I'm sorry, Burton.
So I've lost. Really lost. 3 hours, I'm going to die. I'm going to die for a crime I never committed.
Burton, please.
I'm afraid, Warden. Warden, I'm so afraid. I've been living this nightmare for a year. The accusation, the arrest, the trial, the conviction. I couldn't believe any of it was happening. I kept telling myself that sooner or later they'd find out the truth.
Burton, believe me.
First I was confused, then I was horrified. Then I think I was numb. Then I was hopeful. I told myself that such a mistake couldn't happen. You understand? I had to tell myself that. So I was hopeful. Now, Warden, I'm just plain scared. Warden, I'm scared.
Evening, Mr. Clay.
Evening, Bobby. What can I do for you?
Quart of ice cream, Mr. Clay. Next.
I know. Vanilla for your mother, chocolate for your father, and,
Strawberries for me.
Right. See, I remember. And charge it to your mother's account?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's warm this evening. You mind opening the front door, Bobby? A little fresh air would be nice right now.
Sure, Mr. Clay. Air smells nice, Mr. Clay.
It does at that. A sprinkler just came through the street and wet it down. Yeah, now just let me enter the charge, Bobby. Yeah, there. And here's your quart of mixed. No. Stay where you are, Bobby. I'll bring it to you. Just as soon feel the fresh air on my face. Here you are.
Thanks, Mr. Clay.
You're welcome.
The street looks pretty, doesn't it? All wet and shiny. Mr. Clay, look at that car. It's sliding all over the street.
It's out of control.
It's heading right for the lamppost. Mr. Clay! Look, the man lying there in the street.
It was the driver. He was thrown right out of the car. Come on.
Look, Mr. Clay. He's so still. Is he dead?
I don't know. If he isn't, it's a miracle. Well, now you wait here, Bobby. I'll phone in a report. Get help in an ambulance.
But Mr. Clay, what do I do? There's no one else here. I don't know what to... Mister, can you hear me? Please, mister, open your eyes.
Oh.
You did. You opened them.
What happened?
You skidded. Hit the lamppost.
Oh. Kid, I'm hurt. I'm hurt bad.
Yes, sir, but help's coming. Mr. Clay went to phone for the ambulance.
Listen. Are we all alone?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm weak, kid. Oh, I'm awful weak. I'm afraid I can't make it. I'm gonna die.
No, mister. No.
Hey, kid. Come here. Closer. I gotta tell somebody before it's too late. Oh, I mustn't black out before Come here closer.
Yes, sir.
Listen. You. Tell the police. I confess. Listen. There's a man named Burton. He's going to hang tonight. He's innocent. Remember this, kid? Burton's innocent. I killed that pawnbroker. Tell him. There's a gun I used. It's hidden. It's hidden under the back seat of my car.
Mister!
Ambulance will be here any minute.
Mr. Clay, listen. A terrible thing is happening. Terrible. And there isn't much time.
Huh?
An innocent man is going to die. An innocent man, Mr. Clay. He didn't do anything.
I'm afraid you're right, Bobby. Poor man couldn't know the street was wet.
No, sir, that isn't what I meant. Another man. An innocent man.
Oh, Bobby, this man was alone in the car and the street was absolutely empty. Now, you're confused, son.
Mr. Clay, let me tell you what happened.
You don't have to tell me, Bobby. I saw the whole thing with my own eyes. Please, now, I'm too upset to... there's the police car. Bobby, I really think you should go home. This is no place for a...
But, Mr. Clay, this is important. You've got to listen.
Way, officer, over here. I saw the whole thing. You skidded. Yeah, dear. Terrible thing, officer. Terrible.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Anyone else hurt?
Nobody. Nobody else involved. Driving alone. He hit the wet street, you see. He skidded and crashed right into that...
Officer, I got to tell you something. A man's going to die for nothing.
All right, take it easy, son. We'll do all we can for him. All right, everybody. Everybody stand way back, please. Make plenty of room. You too, Sonny.
But I got to tell you something. You got to listen.
Not now, Sonny. Step way back, kid. In fact, go home. All right, clear the way. Let that ambulance through. You, kid, I said go home. Right here, Doc. Right here. Fell right out of the car when he hit the lamppost. All right, Mr. Clay, you want to give me the details?
Of course. All took just a couple of seconds. I was standing right there in the doorway of my store. And all of a sudden, this car turns in from Maple Street, going a little fast, maybe.
Please, Mr. Clay, let me tell the officer what I know.
How fast would you say, Miss Clay?
Oh, 40, 45, maybe. The minute I saw him start into the skid, I said to myself...
Honest, if the man doesn't wake up, nobody will know.
Are you sure, Mr. Clay, there was no other car on the street?
Positive.
Officer, Mr. Clay.
Unconscious when you got to him, I guess.
Out cold. I thought he was dead.
Close to dead right now. Well, I guess that's about it.
Officer.
All right. Get back, everybody. Make room. Let the ambulance get out. Hey, call in and tell them to hurry that tow car.
Please, listen. I got to tell you me something before it's too late.
Son, I told you we're busy. Haven't got time for kids now. Be a good boy. Go home.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
For shoplifting, the sentence of the court shall be 1 ear sliced off and 20 lashes with a cat o' nine tails, to be laid on in the public square at high noon. Now, that sentence was never carried, because we don't punish shoplifting in that extravagant manner. But in San Francisco in 1848 and early 1849, before the founding of real law and order in the gold camps, many a man lost an ear or both ears for lifting a partner's poke of pay dirt. But when the basic laws of the United States came in, when California was admitted into the Union, the 7th Amendment to the Constitution came in with it. This 7th Amendment reads in part, "Nor shall there be cruel and unusual punishments inflicted." And so with order came the reign of the Bill of Rights. 10 amendments that will stand tall in the minds of men for all time. The lash, the spiked interior of the Iron Maiden, the bone-breaking wheel, the red-hot poker, and the carving knife. These are no longer the punishment of criminals in the United States. But always remember, it didn't just happen that way. Far-sighted men, humane men, our first Congress made it that way, showed the way with our Bill of Rights and the 8th Amendment. It is one of our freedoms.
That you, Bobby?
Yes, Mama. Mama, I gotta tell you something.
You certainly do, like why you're so late. You know how long you've been. I was just beginning to worry.
Yes, Mama, but I couldn't help it this time. Listen, Mama, something happened.
You realize it's almost 8 o'clock?
Yes, Mama, that's just it. It'll be too late.
Bobby, the ice cream is leaking right through the carton. Oh, Bobby, for goodness sakes, here, give me that.
Yes, Mama, but please, let me tell you what happened. You don't know what
Ice cream's all melting. I'll have to get it into the freezer. Really, Bobby, sometimes.
Mama, there was an accident.
Accident? You're hurt. Darling, what happened to you?
Nothing, Mama. The accident didn't happen to me. To someone else. A man. It's what I was trying to tell you.
Bobby, really, you scared the wits out of me.
I'm sorry, but you gotta let me tell you this. You gotta. Now, it's important.
I guess if you don't tell this wonderful story, you'll burst. And we don't want that, do we? Well, what is it you're trying to say?
Gee, I thought I'd never get to tell you. You see, there's a man. He's not bad. He didn't do what they think he did. The other man,
Now, wait a minute, darling. Slow down. What man are you talking about? Why was he bad?
He wasn't bad. That's just it. He didn't kill anybody. They just think he did. It was the other man.
Oh, just a minute, darling. That must be your Aunt Louise. I've been expecting her call. Excuse me. Hello.
Mama, please. You said you'd listen.
Louise? Yes, well, did you look it up?
Mama, let me tell it to you from the beginning. Then maybe you'll understand.
Just a second, Louise. Bobby, dear, don't interrupt Mother when she's on the phone. Hello, Louise. Yes, just Bobby. Naturally. Right now, while I'm on the phone. Isn't that the truth? Of course, every time. Well, why should your youngster be any different?
Mama, please ask Aunt Louise to hold the wire. You said you'd listen.
What's that, Louise? 1 second. Bobby, if you keep talking while I'm on the phone, I can't hear Aunt Louise. Hello, dear. Just Bobby again. Now, what were you saying?
Mama!
Hush, dear. Yes? Oh, you have the recipe right in front of you. Well, then start with the part after 2 heaping cups of sugar. I'm sure I'm right up to there.
A man will die, Mama. He'll die.
Later, Bobby. Yes? Oh, yes. Now I see where I made my mistake.
Please, Mama, please. It'll all be my fault.
I've got it now, Louise. Thanks, dear. How's Walter? Oh, no, not again. Well, it's probably just the weather.
Mama!
Kitty, my love. Bye, dear. Now, Bobby, what was it you were telling me?
About the accident. The man was hurt so bad. He's dying, I think. And he killed somebody. But there's another man, and they'll hang the other man. But it's a mistake. He didn't kill anybody. He's innocent. But they don't know that. You haven't really...
Believe it or not, I'm home.
There's Daddy. Hi, Roy. Now, Bobby, I really have to get dinner ready, and I'm sure that if the man didn't kill anyone, nobody will want to hang him. Anyway, if it was all an accident...
Wait, you didn't hear the whole thing.
Well, not now, dear. Tell me your story later.
But, Mama, there's no time.
Of course there is. It just seems that way to a boy of 11. But really, whatever it is you want to tell me, I'm sure there's plenty of time.
In just a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
Have you ever thought of being a leader in your home community? For a minute, let's pretend that you are. It's an average community in most respects, neither rich nor poor, and with most of the problems that other communities have. But there is one problem that's a little different. Near the outskirts of town, there is a slum area, and you and the other leaders have long believed it should be cleared up. But the problem is not simple, because the people who live in this disease-ridden slum area have no wish to become part of the community. They remain by themselves. They will not mix. They will not do business. And they will not listen to advice. What would you do? Tell the other leaders of the community that what these people do is their own business, and how they live and die makes no difference to you? Or would you call in a group of experts who are experienced in clearing up such situations? Of course you would. Because you know that poverty anywhere is a danger to prosperity everywhere. You would ask the experts to help the people pull themselves up by their bootstraps, up to a better way of life. Throughout the world, this is what the International Labor Organization is doing. It is an agency of the United Nations, which is man's best hope for higher social standards, peace, and justice.
Burton.
Yes?
Won't you reconsider?
What?
Reconsider what we discussed. Won't you see the chaplain now?
Who?
The chaplain, Burton. He wants to stay with you.
Oh, yes, I remember. No, Warden, thank you very much, but tell him I'd rather not.
It would help. It would make it easier. Please believe me.
It wouldn't help. Not now, not anymore. I don't want words of comfort. I don't want words.
He wants you to know that he won't preach to you. He just wants you to have a friend with you now. And he is your friend, Burton, I know.
Tell him I understand how he feels. But I just can't cooperate. Nobody can help me now.
Well, son, no hello for your dad?
Hello, Daddy. Daddy, I gotta tell you something. Can I?
Of course you can. Just give me a chance to wash up. Hey, you could stand to wash yourself. Come on upstairs.
And you listen?
Sure.
Well, first, Daddy, I gotta tell you about this man in jail.
Jail, huh? What do you know about that?
He's innocent. And tonight...
Hey, yeah, what's for dinner?
Chicken. If you don't hurry, burnt chicken.
We'll hurry. Come on, Bobby.
Daddy, please, listen. It's important.
Sure. Now into the bathroom with you. Quick.
Somebody doesn't tell what really
Wash
happened.
your face, Bobby.
Daddy, it's getting late. The other man told me...
Wash your face. And here's your towel.
You see, there was an accident.
Now, let me do the thing, Bobby. I'll have to wash too, you know.
And the man was hurt. And he'll die before anyone knows that the man in jail didn't kill anyone. He did. The other one. Understand what I mean, Daddy?
Bobby, the towel. Quick, I got soap in my eyes. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, we've got to tell him in time, or the man will
Did Mama get my gray suit from the cleaners?
You didn't listen. I told you it was important.
Bobby, where are you going?
Police Department, 1st Precinct, front desk, Officer Moody. Yes, ma'am? Oh, no, ma'am. Your daughter's over 21? No, ma'am. Afraid there's nothing we can do about that. No, I understand, ma'am. You feel he has shifty look. But if she wants to marry him... Oh, no, I understand, ma'am. Shifty around the eyes. Oh, sure. Well, maybe you'll get used to it. Oh, no, never hesitate to call us. Oh, brother.
Oh, officer?
Now a kid. Oh, this is my day.
Officer, I gotta tell you something. You gotta listen. Officer, you're the same one. The one at the accident on Laurel Avenue.
Huh? Oh, yeah, the kid. Yeah. Oh, you haunting me.
You wouldn't listen before. Please, you gotta listen now. They're hanging Burton tonight, and he's innocent.
Lieutenant Bayer, big flash for you.
Yes?
This little boy feels you were wrong on the Burton case. Says he's innocent.
Very funny.
Lieutenant Bayer made the Burton arrest, kid.
Then I gotta tell him.
Look, kid, give us a chance to do our job. Arrest people who did something bad. Now go on home now.
How do you like that? 6 crackpots in here today, convinced Burton is innocent. Same 6 we get every time on the day of an execution. But a kid is a new experience.
It's that kid. He threw a stone through the window.
Get him back in here.
I did it. You can arrest me. And then will you listen to me?
Of all the...
Do you realize what you just did? You don't look like the kind of boy who does a thing like that. What's the idea?
Well, I have to make you listen.
Yes, I guess you did. All right, I'll listen. But this better be good. Well, that's that. Hospital says he's still breathing, in a coma. Get me a car. I'll keep the kid with me.
You're taking this seriously?
I have to. This kid described what certainly sounds like a deathbed confession. I've got to check it out. It's 9:30. Burton hangs at 10. And I arrested Burton.
And if the guy dies before he can speak again?
And so will Burton. Get that car.
He's still unconscious, isn't he?
Yes.
Will he die?
Any minute.
Can he wake up for a little?
You see what the doctor and nurse are doing. They're trying.
But he already told me, and I told you.
Look, you're sure you told me everything he said, that he knew he was dying, that he confessed, that he killed the pawnbroker, that Burton is innocent. Is that everything?
Yes, sir. That's everything.
Hello, kid.
He woke up.
I'm Lieutenant Bayer of Homicide. Do you have a statement to make to the police? You brought them, kid.
Yes, sir.
We've very little time. You realize you're dying.
Yes.
The statement you make to me has the solemn force of a deathbed confession, so help you God.
Yes. Yes. I killed that pawnbroker. Burton is innocent. So help me, God.
And the gun? The gun? What did you do with... No use, he's dead. I should have the proof. I should have the proof.
What proof? He told you.
The gun, the missing gun, it would guarantee the thing.
Oh, I know where that is.
What?
That's the other thing he told me. The gun is under the back seat of his car.
Hello. Hello, operator. This is Lieutenant Bayer of the city police. This call is official. Get me Maple 1000, urgent. Hello, this is Bayer, Homicide. Put me through to the wrecked car, pound fast.
What time is it?
10 minutes to 10. Hello. Hello. Hello, Mac, what's holding us up? Look, I said fast, emergency. So ring on another line. Only one. Then break in. You can do that. I don't care if he's talking. I don't care who he's talking to. I don't care if he's talking to Eisenhower. Break in. Big deal. Walsh is talking. Come on, McGillicuddy. Tell Walsh it's me. This is a must. Hello. Hello, Walsh, Bayer. Never mind that. This is important and immediate. Right. You have a wreck towed in from a Laurel Avenue crash a couple of hours ago, right? You're looking right at it now. Look under the back seat and tell me what you find, and hurry. Keep your fingers crossed, kid. Hello, you did? What caliber? 38. Perfect. Hello, operator, this is Lieutenant Bayer again. Official call again. Immediately, matter of life or death. Get me the state penitentiary. Bobby, for the third time, will you forget about the window? I told you, the window is on me.
Thanks.
Forget it, you're the department's guest. And stop thanking me for driving you home. A detective your age can't be walking alone at night.
Yes, sir.
You know, for a boy of 11, you did quite a job tonight. You saved a man's life. You heard me talk to the warden. You won. With 6 minutes to spare. It was pretty wonderful. So why do you still look worried?
Because I never stayed out so late before. And I ran out of the house without dinner. What do my mother and father say?
Now, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they were very proud when you tell them the whole story.
But when I tell them, will they listen?
Suspense.
Heard in tonight's story were Peter Laser, Ginger Jones, Santos Ortega, Martin Blaine, Bernard Grant, Nat Olin, Sam Raskin, Bill Adams, and Harold Huber. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Before all this happened. And it was one of those kind of sensational trials. The judge told us jurors not to go out to any public places or we might be approached or influenced. So I'd been sticking pretty close to the hotel they had us in. And it was a real treat when they said that we were free for a couple of days because a witness was sick. So Ann and I went to the early movie across the street from the hotel and got out about 9:30.
I thought she was darling. I didn't care much for him, though.
I didn't think she was too hot either. What's the difference, anyway? First movie I've seen since the trial started. How about some ice cream?
We got a little cakes at home. Some ice cream might go nice to them.
I don't know if I can go home. The jury thing.
Well, you're free for a couple of days. Didn't know what they told you? Well, it's not going to do you any harm to sleep home tonight.
Yeah, suppose not. What kind do you want?
What?
Ice cream.
Chocolate.
Well, hello there. How are you this evening, folks?
Good evening.
Hi.
What can I do for you?
Oh, about a quart of ice cream, chocolate.
Right. Say, tell me, how's the trial going? You're on the jury, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, I should know better than to ask. I'll bet we have 5-7 jurors a day coming here from the hotel across the street.
Is that right?
Yeah, you think you've been on this trial a long time? Some people stay on for months. Well, I'll tell you what I think about this Harmon fellow.
I'm not supposed to let anybody talk to me about it either.
Oh, yeah, say that's right. Forget about that. Well, that'll be 89 cents.
All right. Yeah, I got it, Ann. What'd I do with my wallet? Oh. Here.
Thank you. Out of one. 90, $1, and thank you.
Thank you.
I hope now that you know us, you'll trade here sometimes, even after the trial is over. My name is Anderson.
Well, I'm Mr. Bennick. It's my wife, Ann.
How do you do? Happy to know you.
How do you do?
Hope you'll be through with the thing real soon.
Yeah, I hope so, too. Good night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look what I found.
What?
An envelope on the floor. Right here.
Somebody dropped something, huh?
It's open, too. I wonder if we should, to find the owner. Hey.
Hey there.
Money, bills. Here, let me see.
How much is there, Al? Al? How much, Al?
$10,000.
$10,000? Well, you dropped $10,000 on the floor of a drugstore.
$10,000? You mean the envelope was just laying there on the floor?
Oh, I almost stepped on it, and then I picked it up. I saw there was something in it. Al, what should we do?
Well, gee, a thing like this, I don't know what to say.
Well, if I was you, I would keep it. That's what I would do. And since it was in my store...
No, we couldn't do that.
I could. It ain't stealing. You found it. It was my store. You found it in.
Oh, we better turn it in.
If there's a reward, we'll get together on it, won't we, huh?
Oh, look, there's some kind of note in it.
A note?
In with the money. This is your first half as agreed in the... No signature. It doesn't make much sense to me.
Me neither. Where you going with that money?
Oh, if anyone comes looking for it, we live on 5th Street, 229.
If there's a reward, we'll see you get your share, Mrs. Adelson. Come on, Ann.
Don't worry, Mr. Adelson.
Don't worry. $10,000 is a lot of money.
$10,000 is a lot of money. An awful lot of money. Ann was still trying to figure it out when we got home. One thing I'd always said about Ann, she had a good mind. And now she remembered the note, and she took off from there.
But, Al, it must mean something. It was written to somebody. It must mean something to them. After all, $10,000.
Let's get on with the ice cream.
Well, all right. But what I
Look,
think...
Annie, if nobody claims it by tomorrow, we put an ad in the paper or something. It's not our worry. Chocolate.
But we could keep it, couldn't we? I mean, the law says finders keepers. If nobody can prove it's theirs, we can keep it, can't we? Isn't there a law?
Well, I guess as far as the law is concerned, we could keep it.
Of course, we'd have to give part of it to Mr. Adelson.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I don't know, Al. That money belongs to somebody.
All right. If they claim it, all right. And if they don't, well, all right. Why worry about it?
It belongs to whoever that note was written to.
Uh-huh.
Listen. This is the first half as agreed in the EH business. But if they are not hung up when the time comes, don't expect to get the rest or stay healthy very long. No signature.
No signature.
Ow! That last part about staying healthy.
Hmm?
That's a threat. That's what it is.
Threat? Well, yeah,
The
it
man
could be.
who's giving the money is threatening the man who's getting it. If he doesn't...
Doesn't what?
Oh, Al, don't be so tense. Help me a little. Doesn't do what they're paying him to. Why, it's a bribe.
A bribe, yeah, that's right, Annie. You could be right at that.
Well, now we're getting somewhere. All right, a bribe. And it has something to do with something being hung up. Look, if they're not hung up when the time comes, it says. What could be hung up that's so important to bribe somebody on jury to...
To what?
Oh, those initials EH. Edward Harmon. The name of the man that's on trial. The jury that you're on.
Oh, no, gee, Ann, I don't think so. They all seem like such nice, decent people.
But listen. This is your first half, the $10,000, as agreed in the EH. That is, the Edward Harmon business. But if they're not hung up, the jury, don't expect to stay healthy.
Oh, yeah. Well, it does make some sense, huh?
Well, we've got to call the police.
Police?
Yes, we've got to report it right away.
Well, maybe I could give it to the district attorney in the morning.
Oh, no, don't you see, Al? You're on that jury.
Yeah, I know.
If we delay telling them for even an hour, they may think that you've got something to hide.
No, I think I'd better wait until morning.
If you don't phone them, I will. Right away. Now.
All right. I hope you're right.
That must be them now, Al.
I'll go.
I must say, they took their time about it.
Good evening, gentlemen. Come in.
Thanks. You're Mr. Benning, Albert H. Benning.
That's right. And this is my wife.
How do you do?
Hello.
I sort of expected to see someone in uniform. Or I should have known, I suppose.
Uniform?
Yes. Well, you gentlemen are from the police, aren't you?
No, we're not.
Oh?
You expecting the police, lady?
Well, yes, we were.
You better not take too much time, Johnny. I think you people got something that belongs to us. Something you found in the drugstore on the corner.
Oh.
We lost it there. The druggist told us you had it.
Well, we did find something, yes.
$10,000 in 500s in a white envelope.
Well, I guess there's all right, Ann.
Oh, yes, but...
But what?
Well, I'm sure it's yours, but there was something else, too.
Look, we better just give it to him, man.
The note. I always said that was foolish. There was a note.
Yes.
Did you read it?
Well, we glanced through it, of course. We thought it might tell us who the money belonged to.
And it did, didn't it?
No. Oh, no.
Come on, lady.
Now, wait a minute. This is a gun.
The note told you that the dough was to buy off somebody on the jury of the Harmon trial, didn't it?
You talk too much, Johnny. Let's get out of here.
What's the difference? Use your head. What about it, Mrs. Benning?
Well, what do you know about what was in the note?
We gotta know these things. We work for Mr. Harmon. We know you're on the jury, too, Mr. Benning.
Well...
where are you from, Mrs. Benning? I mean, where do your folks live? What part of the country?
Oh, Washington. Spokane, Washington.
All right, Mr. Benning. You go on down to that trial tomorrow just as though nothing had happened. Anybody ask you about your wife, you tell them she's gone on a little visit to her folks in Spokane.
Visit my folks?
The case will go to the jury on Friday. If everything goes like it should, your wife will be back here safe and sound first thing Monday morning.
Oh, good Lord.
But you can't do a thing like this. You can't.
Be reasonable, Mrs. Benning. We gotta. You people know too much about this thing.
Look, but we won't say anything. I promise. I swear it.
Now, how can we take a chance like that? Harmon is up for murder. I better get your things together, Mr. Benning. Go with her. Thanks.
We ain't got all night, though.
I'll take the money, Mr. Benning, before I forget it. Thanks. I hope you understand our position.
What are you going to do?
Obviously, the money went to the wrong party, so we've got to use another method. If everything goes like it should on that jury, your wife will be okay. But if it doesn't...
Oh, you can't. You can't do that.
Oh, we can. Saves us a lot of money, too. And, Mr. Benning, not a word to the authorities. Your wife would make a cute corpse.
After they left, I just sat there. Maybe another guy would have rushed right off, done something. But I couldn't. I had to think. It all happened so suddenly. In less than an hour, the whole thing. And picking up the money on the floor at the drugstore and then figuring out from the note that it was a bribe to someone on the jury of the Harmon trial. The jury I was on. The police never showed up, so I sneaked out of our building the back way, took the side streets, and went to the office of the chief of detectives.
So you came down here.
Well, what are we sitting here for? Why don't we do something?
Well, we got to know what we're doing before we start doing it. Anyway, from what you tell me, I don't think she'll be in any real danger.
No real danger. She's been kidnapped by gangsters.
But why? That's what doesn't make any sense to me.
I told you the money was some kind of bribe. They thought we knew about it.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Well, how could we? Ann just picked the money up off the floor and...
They said they'd have her back by Monday.
That's what they said. You can believe them if you want to, but she's my wife.
Okay. Well, what do these two cookies look like?
Oh, I don't know. They're average size. Dark, I think. No, I don't remember what they look like.
Did you catch their names?
I didn't ask them.
You're not going to be much help for a while, are you? Okay, it's all right. Now, by the way, my name's Dan.
Oh, mine's Al.
You'll probably be seeing quite a lot of me in the next day or two, so we might as well get acquainted. And Al.
Yeah.
Take it easy. We'll find your wife.
Dan's being friendly made me feel a lot better, but we still weren't doing anything. First, he got out a lot of pictures, and I had to go through all those, but of course I couldn't recognize anybody. Then he started making phone calls. That didn't make much sense to me either, except that he figured they might have a stolen car, and he was trying to check on it. Finally, he called a police car, and we drove back towards the courthouse. It was 12 o'clock, but Mr. Adelson hadn't left the store. He was anxious enough to talk, but it didn't look as though he was going to get us any place.
I tell you, Lieutenant, it was right there on the floor. It was right there.
Yeah, but when you talk to these two men...
Oh, yeah. Well, I talked to them. The one, that is. And he said he lost an envelope, he thought, in my store. And I said, yes, we found it. And Mr. Bennick had it.
So you talked to them. What did they look like?
How can I know what they look like when they called me on the telephone?
Okay, I guess that's all, Mr. Adelson.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant. I wish I could help
That's
you.
all right.
But if there's anything else you
We'll call you.
Say, Mr. Bennick.
Yeah.
Did you tell him about the note?
Note?
Yeah, the note that was in with the money.
So there was a note.
Sure, in with the money, wasn't it, Mr. Bennick?
What about it, Al?
Well, I'm sorry. I guess I forgot. We drove back to 5th Street and parked in front of my apartment. Dan didn't say a word until we got into the elevator. And then he spoke to the elevator boy, not to me.
You take Mrs. Bennick and a couple of men down tonight about 10:30? Yeah, that's right. Police? Yes. What did they look like? Well, I couldn't really tell you. They had their hats pulled down, sort of. Well, one was tall, the other was short. That's about all I noticed. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah? Now that you speak of it, the short one called the tall one Johnny. Yeah, it's funny I didn't think of that. A tall one and a short one. And the tall one's name was Johnny. Yeah, but that breaks the case wide open, huh? Yeah, I'll see to you get a citation.
We got off at my floor, and I opened the apartment, and we went in. He still didn't say anything. He prowled around the apartment, poking into bureaus and closets, not saying a word. Then he came out in the living room and sat down in the big armchair and just looked straight at me.
All right, Al. What about the note?
Look, I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't think it was important.
Yeah, and you couldn't remember that one was a tall guy and the other was a short guy. And the tall guy's name was Johnny.
I was all upset. I don't even know if I heard his name.
Hey. Wait a minute. Why didn't I think of it?
Think of what?
Bill Quinlan, the defense lawyer in the Harmon case. Those are his boys. I've had those guys up a dozen times. He always comes and gets them off.
The Harmon trial?
Yeah, this Harmon is up on a murder rap. Bank robbery and a guard was killed. His lawyer is Bill Quinlan. Quinlan's bribed more juries than I've got hairs on my head, if you could ever prove it. You get a couple of hung juries and they let you off the hook. He's pulled it plenty of times.
Well, isn't that a little far-fetched?
Like I say, Al, it's all we've got. Now, I'll have the boys check the jury list anyway. Where's your phone?
Oh, in there. Dan.
Yeah?
Dan? I'm on the jury.
You're what?
Yeah, don't you see? Look, if I opened my mouth, they'd kill her. They told me so.
So that's it.
I didn't dare to tell you, Dan. I hoped you'd find her out.
Why, you long-legged, thick-headed idiot. Don't you think I've been in this business long enough to know it a little better than you do? Don't you think I know how to give people protection when I have to? Do you think we go around trying to get people killed? You know any more you haven't told me?
No.
Do you know who the juror is that they're trying to bribe?
No.
Okay. Well, now at least we know where to start looking.
Look, Dan.
Yeah?
You're not sore at me, are you?
Me? No. What have I got to be sore about? She's your wife.
We knew where to start looking, but it wasn't as easy as that. I was still on the jury, of course. They didn't dare make a move against Harmon because of Anne. The case went to the jury Friday, and there was still no word of her. And, of course, I had to vote not guilty. They understood that. But as it turned out, the vote was 8-4, so it didn't really matter with a hung jury. Harmon was scheduled for a new trial anyway. But now it was Monday, the day Anne was supposed to return. But there was no word. What if they found out the police knew that I was on the jury? It was nearly midnight when Dan came to the apartment. He looked as though he hadn't slept for 3 days. I hadn't either. He told me to come along with him. He didn't say much until we were way down on Avenue C on the Lower East Side.
Don't let it get out, fella. I think we're going to come out all right.
When did you find out?
About an hour ago. We trailed Harmon. That's why he got bail.
Dan, don't kid me. Are you sure that
As sure as we can be. We know where they are. She'll be there.
Yeah, that's the place. The third house down. Ellis, you and Wilson stake out the back. Farley and Edwards take the front. I'm going in. All right, get going.
Right. Dan.
Yeah?
I want to go with you.
No, you stay in the car.
I'm going with you.
Okay. Come on. Let's go. A light in the front. They may give us a little reception now.
Well, they wouldn't do anything to her, would they? Would they, Dan?
Try the door. Locked.
Can we?
I got a skeleton. All right, close it behind you so the street light won't show us up.
Okay.
All right. Let's try here.
I don't think anybody's around.
Come on.
Maybe they took her someplace.
Quiet. No. Al, you better stay out.
Why? What is it? What is it?
It's her, Al, your wife. She's dead.
She was dead. And the next day, there was the funeral. A lot of friends came around, shook hands, looked at me sad. And I stood by where she was lying with all the flowers around her. This wasn't the way it was supposed to work out. Dan was there, too. For a long time, he stood there, looking at her, my friends, and me.
You called Johnny and Sam, didn't you?
I called them. Yeah.
You called them. And she thought you were calling the police. That's why the police never showed up.
I called them. If she was so insistent that I had to call somebody, I didn't think they'd take her away. I thought they'd just take the money and leave, forget the whole thing, but they took her, too.
What about the money?
Well, the money they paid me for the trial.
The money for the trial, the $10,000.
I told you they took it. They took the money and they took her. All except $500. I kept that in my pocket. I didn't get that. That's what I paid for the funeral with.
Yes, I know. We had the numbers of the bills. When we picked them up later that night, they had it all except $500. And that's what brought me back to you.
It's funny. I did it for her. To buy her nice things, huh? And all I bought her was her funeral.
Say goodbye, Al. You'll have to come with me.
Now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
What coffee, dear?
Hmm?
Coffee, darling. You want some more?
Oh, no. Yeah. No, I mean no.
Toast?
Hmm?
Toast, darling. You want some?
Huh?
Atlas, if you just put that newspaper down for a moment, you'd hear what I was saying, and your breakfast wouldn't get cold.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear. This thing in the paper.
Yes, obviously this thing in the paper. You're not just reading that paper, you're staring at it. And? You look so strange. What's the matter?
This story. And this picture.
What story? What picture?
Jan, I never knew what Al Tinney looked like.
Al Tinney, the racketeer?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what he looks like either. Honey, you haven't answered my question. Is something wrong?
I never even saw a picture of him.
Come to think of it, neither did I. I wouldn't know if he bumped into me. Ed, what's that got to do?
The point is, I didn't when he did.
Are you talking about?
I didn't know Tinney when he bumped into me last June in Capital City. In the lobby of the Guarantee Building. Bumped into it apparently right after he committed a murder.
And what is all this?
Well, the whole story's right here in the paper. Tinney goes on trial in a few days in Capital City for murder. He's accused of shooting a man in the man's office in the Guarantee Building up there last June the 5th, around 11 a.m.
So?
Well, so everybody's sure he's guilty, but he's got the usual racketeer-type alibi.
20 miles away at the time of the shooting. Well, if they can't break that alibi, he's going to get away scot-free. Understand?
You mean because nobody can place him at the scene of the crime?
Yeah, exactly. But, Jan, I can.
Oh, Ed, no.
Yes, I was there on business that day, you remember. And in the lobby of the Guarantee Building at just about 11, a man bumped into me, almost knocked me down. Never apologized, just glared at me, shoved me aside, and he hurried out. And? Now I know the man was Al Tinney. Here's the picture in the paper. So you see, Jan, I know his alibi's a lie.
But maybe it's not the same man.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, that was 4 months ago, 500 miles from here. Maybe you're not really sure.
No, Jan, it was Tinney, all right. I'm positive. So, you see?
Ed, what are you going to do?
Do? Isn't it obvious? I'm going to the police here in Franklin. I'm going to tell them.
Oh, no, Ed, don't. I don't want you involved in this. Well, this Tinney is notorious. Who knows what might happen to you?
But, Jan...
No, Ed, please. Ed, I'm scared of this. Now, don't tell the police. Please don't. I'm scared.
All right, Mr. Adams, now these.
This one, yes. Well, that one, no. And that one, no. That last picture, yes again.
And this group?
Number 1, no. Number 2, no. 3, and 4, and 5. Oh, yes. Well, how am I doing, Captain A?
I've got to give you A for memory, A for observation.
Well, haven't you seen that man's face?
I know, but these other men in the pictures I've been showing you look an awful lot like Tinney. Now, that settles it. You sure do remember him.
So, what's next?
I notify Capital City's DA that he's got a voluntary witness to place Tinney where he belongs, which I assure you will start a celebration.
Well, anything else for me to do now?
Just go home. As soon as Capital City tells me when they need you there and what arrangements they'll want to make for your transportation, I'll get in touch with you. Trial starts in, 5 days. Meanwhile, go home and relax.
Relax? Of all the words in all the dictionaries. Just look at tonight's paper.
I know, honey. I've seen it.
And what's going to happen? It's right on the front page, all about you. All about how you're going to testify and how important you'll be to the state's case. Don't you see what this means?
Janet was bound to get into the
Well,
papers.
everybody can see it, including people who may want to stop you from telling your story.
Jan, they can't stop me.
Can't? I'm no expert on crime, but a man like Tinney must have friends or henchmen or associates or whatever they're called.
Associates? Darling, that sounds very funny.
Well, none of this is funny to me. Ed, I asked you not to do this. Don't you understand, darling? I am afraid for you. This story is public property now. Any moment we may... Oh, Ed.
Oh, darling, it's just a phone.
Don't answer it.
Jan, now don't, dear. Everything is all right. Hello? Yeah. Oh, hi, Bob. Yes, we saw it. Oh, yes, it's true. Come on now. Cut it out. You make me feel like a stuffed shirt. Sure, right here next to me. No, she isn't crazy about it. Yeah, sure. That's right. We'll talk about it another time. Yeah, sure. Bye. It was just Bob. You see, dear, you don't have to be so jumpy. Come on, dear. Now, you answer it this time. It won't bite.
No,
Jan, please.
Hello? What? Who is it? Ed.
Who is it, Jan?
Some
Jan, what's the matter? Who was that?
man.
What did he say?
He just said, tell Adams to change his story quick or you'll find out.
Yes?
You'll find out dead men have testified.
What else?
What else? Wasn't that enough? And what are we going to do? Hello?
came and met me twice yesterday, 3 times today.
What did he say this
the
time?
The same thing. Why did you have to get into this thing?
Jan, get hold of yourself. There was nothing else I could
You
do.
had to be a hero. Other people were in that lobby. They didn't volunteer.
Maybe they didn't see it.
Maybe not. Maybe they knew better than getting involved. Darling, I don't want you to earn a posthumous medal for public service.
Jan, dear, don't cry. Didn't Captain Hale send a police car to watch the house? Look, out the window. It's right there. See?
I know.
Everything's going to be all right, I tell you. Maybe just a crank calling.
You can't know that.
Anyway, nothing's really happened.
You will be given a chance to retract. By now it's obvious you won't. No!
I'll get that. Hello? Yes? Who is it?
Yes. And I can't stand it anymore. If that phone rings again, if I hear that voice again, you call Captain Hale. You tell him we've got to get out of here. Someplace where we can't hear that phone.
All right. Whatever you say
No.
now, dear.
No, wait. Wait, I just realized. Maybe that's the whole purpose of these terrible calls. Get you out of this house.
Hello, Mr. Adams, Captain Hale. Capital City just called. They're sending Lieutenant Neal of their police to take you up there. Tonight. Yeah, that's right. He'll fly in this evening, then he'll take you back on the 10 p.m. flight from here and... What? Oh, no, you won't be alone for a minute. The prowl car will take you and Mrs. Adams down to headquarters right now. As soon as Lieutenant Neal arrives at my office, we'll have a bite, then get you to the airport. Right. Lieutenant Neal? One of the best. I've heard a lot about him myself. You haven't got a thing to worry about, believe me. We're sending you up there with the right man.
Real pleasure to meet you, Lieutenant Neal. I'm Lieutenant Kane of Captain Hale's squad.
Oh, King. Kind of surprised to hear myself being paged as I got off the plane. Didn't expect to be met here at the airport.
Well, we don't know you by sight down here, Neil. Hale wanted me to be sure not to miss you. See, a couple of changes in the operation.
Oh? Like what?
Well, for one thing, you don't go to headquarters. We moved Adams to a private house on the outskirts of town. That's where I take you to meet Hale.
Why the switch?
A little added security. Hale's afraid that, look, I'll explain it on the way. I got a car outside. Let's go. Well, you can see what Hale has in mind. He simply figures that somebody may make an all-out try to get Adams. And he figures that if somebody knows all the details of how we're moving Adams tonight, why, something may go wrong.
What, for instance?
Who knows? He's just being double cautious, that's all, just in case.
So what makes him think anyone could know? It's been secret. How would they find out?
There's one way.
What way?
What if they had a wiretap on Adams' phone?
Any reason to think they had?
Could be, Neil. Personally, I'm inclined to think it's a very good possibility. Yeah, very good possibility.
I see. How much further to where we're going?
We're practically there. As a matter of fact, before we get there, there's something I've got to give you.
What?
This. Oh. Sweet dreams, Copper. Sweet dreams. Of course, you want to see my credentials, Captain Hale.
Thank you. Let's see now. Your shield, your identification card, letter from the district attorney in Capital City. Fine. Credentials all check out okay. Happy to meet you, Lieutenant Neal.
Tickled to meet you, Captain Hale.
This is Ed Adams. Mr. Adams, this is the officer from Capital City who will be responsible for your safety.
How do you do? Hello, Adams. I've been looking forward to meeting you.
And this is Mrs. Adams. Mrs. Adams, Lieutenant Neal.
Miss Adams.
Lieutenant?
If Mrs. Adams looks nervous, it's because she is. Those threatening phone calls, you know.
Of course, it's only natural.
Lieutenant, you will be very, very careful, won't you?
Mrs. Adams, I'm here to take care of your husband. I'm going to do it. Yes, ma'am, I'm going to take real good care of him.
You see, Jan, I told you everything's under control. Come on now, honey, smile.
Well, I guess everything's all set, huh? So how about getting started? I mean, you and me, Mr. Adams. Shall we go? It's early, Neil. An hour till your plane leaves. Takes only 10 minutes to get to the airport from here.
Sure, but
And we haven't had dinner.
Yeah, but don't you think...
And I think everybody's hungry. I am, I know. How about you two?
I don't think I'll eat again until the trial is over.
Well, personally, I'm starved.
Yeah, but so that's that. We eat. Relax, Neil. We've got plenty of time. The only question is, where do we eat? Shall we send out or go on?
Well, the airport dining room's fine with me.
With me, too. No objections? Good. Dinner's on me.
No. It'll be on me. See, in view of everything, the least I can do is buy Mr. Adams his dinner. And I don't want you to hold back, Mr. Adams. Order anything you want for the meal. I want you to eat like there's no tomorrow. Come on, wake up, you. Come on now, snap out of it. What's going on? You're under arrest, that's what's going on. Now get out from behind that steering wheel. You're not driving anymore tonight.
Driving? Me?
Yes, you. You did a fine job. Drove this convertible up on the sidewalk, then parked it neatly against the fire hydrant. Now, come on, out of the car.
Stop shaking me.
Up the daisy and out you come.
Oh, easy. Oh, my head.
Cut it out. You're not hurt. People don't die from a hangover. They just think they will. Now try standing by yourself, huh?
Wait. There's something wrong. You don't understand.
Don't I? One sniff of you, mister, and anybody would understand. Now start walking.
Oh, hold it. Officer, I'm just beginning to remember. Listen, I'm not drunk.
Mister, when I find a guy sleeping over the wheel of a car he parked on the sidewalk up against a fire pump with a whiskey bottle 3/4 empty on the seat next to him and the guy smelling like a distillery, I make a deduction.
Drunk.
I said, let's go.
Wait. I'm a police officer. Neil, Lieutenant Neil of Capital City. This isn't what it looks like. I can identify myself. Just let me show you my papers. My shield. Right in this pocket. My wallet. My credentials. They're gone.
Oh, come on now. Sober up. I found letters on you addressed to William Taylor, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And a wallet with initials WT to match. And no driver's license. Explain that to the sergeant.
Wait, you gotta listen to me. Wait. The phony, he slugged me. Wait a minute. You gotta listen. He's gonna use my credentials to get hold of... What time is it?
Driving without a license, driving while under the influence of liquor, damaging private property, damaging city property, and resisting arrest. Busy evening.
Sergeant, we're wasting time. I've been trying to explain what happened. I can identify myself if...
Oh, yes, also impersonating an officer, or trying to. Is that right, Tom?
Right. Will you stop this nonsense and let me explain?
You call these charges nonsense, Taylor?
For the last time, my name isn't Taylor. And I can identify myself if you'll let me use the phone.
No, you're identified now.
Then you use the phone. I'll tell you where to call.
Forget it.
Don't you see time's running out? Look at that clock. A man's got my credentials. All he has to do now is present them to Captain Hale of your police department right here in Franklin. And when he does...
Franklin? Now, look, you're in Sunnyvale, 10 miles outside of Franklin. What kind of an act is this?
So I was moved here. It's all part of what I'm trying to tell you. I'm here to protect a witness. His life is at stake. I tell you, my credentials will be used. Look, there's no time to go through the whole thing again. It's getting late.
Right. Bedtime for you. Tom, put him in a cell where he can sleep it off. You'll be arraigned tomorrow, Taylor.
You can't do this. I've a right to use one phone call now before arraignment.
That's right, you have. And I've been trying to give you a break. You make that call now on the condition you're in, you waste it. Now look at you. You're drunk. You're wild-eyed. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, you sleep it off first. Make your call in the morning. Tom, lock him up.
I have a right to one phone call now. It's the law.
So it's like that, huh? Okay, mister, I'll let you make a phone call. One call. Then, mister, I'll want some straight answers. Now, who do you want to call?
Captain Hale of Franklin Police Headquarters.
Oh, I see. I get it now. You're a big shot, huh? You know big brass in the big town, and you want to put some pressure on. Is that it?
For Pete's sake, Sergeant.
Well, I got some news for you. This may be a suburb, but we don't take orders from anybody.
Come along, nice fellow. Just a few more steps to the desk. The officers?
Upper class, drunk and disorderly, Sergeant. I found him sitting on top of the war memorial singing Hinky-Dinky Parley-Vous. He threw peanuts at me when I told him to come down. Won't give his name.
Of course. Incognito from distant metropolis. Anyway, what's her name? And for that matter, who is Sylvia? Was she?
Listen, you, I'm in no mood for another drama.
Sergeant, my phone call. Alas, for the decline of manners. Cannot a visiting gentleman celebrate with purest song the wedding of an old college chum in the wretched, pleasant village Head chum inhabits? And having so celebrated, cannot he be booked in the local pokey, sir, without interruptions from all Why, what are you doing here, Lieutenant Neal?
What? What'd you say? What was that last?
I have spoken.
Speak again.
You know this man?
No. I charge you, this is that same Lieutenant Neal, peer of detectives who arrested me in Capital City at my brother's wedding. Let him deny to be there.
Preston Cantwell III.
And your humble client.
Well, Sergeant?
Yeah, I get the picture. Oh, I'm sorry, Lieutenant. How can I...
Yeah, but there's no time. Call Hale.
Yes, sir. Franklin Police Headquarters, quick, emergency. Look, Lieutenant, I can't tell you how bad
Forget it.
It was touching. Your loyalty, Lieutenant. All this distance to sponsor my suburban castle. Castle. I think I shall go to sleep.
Hello, Franklin Headquarters. Sunnyvale Police, Sergeant Burns speaking. Captain Hale, please. What? Says he's not there, Lieutenant.
Where is he?
Where is he? Says he's at the airport dining room with some people. He's got a phone in there?
9:35. How far is it from here to the airport?
The airport's closer to Sunnyvale than Franklin in 7-8 minutes in a squad car. You want to try to page Hale to the airport?
No, it'll be dangerous. Hale know you by sight.
Yeah.
Good, get off the phone.
Sure. Thanks, no message. Now what?
Get a car on the way. I'll tell you what we'll do.
Even the coffee's good here.
Well, it's 10 minutes to take off, Mr. Adams. I'm boarding the plane, so how about saying goodbye to the missus?
Yes, I guess it's about time.
Already? Oh, Ed, I really
Captain
wish...
Hale, the check's paid, so you and Mrs. Adams have some more coffee, huh? Mr. Adams and I can get started.
No, I'd rather see him onto the plane.
Yes, me too.
That's not necessary. I'll take over now.
Paging Lieutenant Neal of Capital City. Will Lieutenant Neal come to the superintendent's office? Important.
For you, Neil.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Superintendent's office just outside this dining room.
Hey, look, it's getting late. Mustn't miss our plane. Let's disregard this.
Will Lieutenant Neal please come to the superintendent's office immediately? Urgent.
Better go, Neil. You've got time.
Well, I think... All right. Come with me, Mr. Adams.
Adams can stay here till you come back. Extra minute with his wife. But what? Can't trust me to watch him?
Okay. Captain Hale.
Sergeant Burns.
Captain, I've got something to tell you. Here's what happened.
Somebody paging
you, Buster. Get your hands up. Attaboy. Now face the wall. That's it. All right, now lean. My credentials, my gun. You're Hale? Yes. Burns explained the whole thing. Good. Then I'll leave this prize package to you. Book him for assaulting me in suspicion of attempted murder just for openers, and I hope he tries resisting arrest. With pleasure, Lieutenant. 5 minutes to take off. So if you don't mind, Captain, I think maybe it's time for you to introduce me to Mr. Adams.
Suspense. You've been listening to Death and the Escort by Harold Huber. Included in the cast were Don McLaughlin, Elspeth Eric, Bob Dryden, Joe Julian, Larry Haynes, Leon Janney, Harold Huber, Maurice Totlin, and Ian Martin. Listen next week to The Beetle and Mr. Bottle, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense on CBS Radio. and Mr. Bottle. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
It had all begun so harmlessly. That's the devil of it. You see, I'm a widower. My daughter Diana was happily married, and I'd been living alone for the last 8 years. It wasn't exactly an ideal existence, but I wasn't unhappy either. There was my job with Fixton and Shrewsbury. I was a senior bookkeeper now. And, of course, at home, there was my garden. I remember it was a Sunday, and Diana had unexpectedly come by for a little visit. How do you like this one, dear? Isn't she lovely? Going to be champion this year. We might even take best in the show, Miss Hybrid Tea and I.
I'm sure you will. Father, I came over because, well, George and I have been sort of discussing it lately about your retirement next year.
Oh?
We've been wondering if you've decided what you're going to do with yourself. Of course, you can always come and live with us, but...
Oh, no, my dear, that's awfully good of you, but I wouldn't think of it. Two's company, you know. Besides, it just wouldn't seem natural, not having my garden.
But you can't garden all the time, Father. And without your job to occupy you, well, you might find it getting a little bit lonely. What about a companion, Father, marrying again?
Marrying?
Yes, you probably know a dozen eligible women if you'd let yourself think about it.
Really, Diana? Who would want to marry me?
Anybody would and be happy to. Will you think about it, Father? No reason on earth why you shouldn't.
Well, I really don't know. If you want me to, I suppose it won't hurt to think about it.
That's all. Sort of preparation for retirement. Remember, two's company.
Diana was quite right. But marrying again... However, I promised Diana I'd at least think about it. I found myself still thinking as I walked down to my train the next morning.
Morning, Mr. Bottle.
Oh, Constable Wiggins.
You won't be getting to the station down this street, Mr. Bottle. You're going the wrong way, sir.
Wrong way? Why, so I am.
First time I've seen you turn the wrong way in 15 years. Everything all right, sir? Nothing wrong with those lovely flowers of yours, are you?
Oh, no, it's nothing like that.
There comes your train now, sir. Better hurry along.
My train? Yes. Thank you, Constable. I rode into London still dutifully thinking and left the station walking my usual route to the office. Having done it every day for the last 25 years, the process was quite automatic. I was just crossing Shaftesbury Avenue when...
Look out!
Oh, are you all right?
I think so.
Let me help you out. There we are. You sure you're all right?
Yes. Thank you very much. I'm most terribly grateful, Miss...
Mrs. Magwitch. Ethel Magwitch.
Mrs. Magwitch, I rather think you saved my life.
Now, you sure you're all right? We shouldn't try our wings too soon. Shock, you know.
Well, my office is just around the corner, you see. Fixton and Shrewsbury.
Fixton and Shrewsbury? Why, of course, I should have guessed you'd be with a fine old firm like that. You're so distinguished looking, you must be the office manager.
No, nothing like that. I'm merely a senior bookkeeper.
Senior bookkeeper? Why, I just knew it was something important. Your wife must be awfully proud.
Well, no. Well, that is, I'm a widower.
Now, isn't that a coincidence and myself a widow? Sort of fateful, like you might say.
Yes. Well, thank you again. If you'll excuse
me... Well, you know you
I...
haven't told me your name.
It's Bottle. Eldon Bottle.
Eldon. Oh, such a nice name and so refined.
If there's ever anything I can do for you, Mrs. Magwitch...
Oh, why, that's perfectly sweet, Eldon. Why don't we just have lunch together?
Lunch? Well, really, Mrs. Magwitch...
I know the nicest little place. It's such a cozy little place. Now, you run along to work, Eldon. I'll be waiting outside Fixton and Shrewsbury at noon. Tell me all about yourself, Eldon. You've hardly said a word.
Well, I don't think there's much to tell.
Oh, now you're just being modest.
But I can tell. There's a certain dash about you, Eldon.
You're just imagining.
What is the first thing I noticed? Of course, I certainly don't want to try. You live here in the city?
No, in Watford.
Oh, in Watford. Oh, I do envy you living out there in the country away from the dirt and the grime. It's just a bit of heaven. I know it.
Yes, I find it quite pleasant.
Oh, it's such a lonely life living alone in the city. You've no idea, Eldon. Ever since Mr. Mackwich passed on, it's been lonely, lonely, lonely. In fact, I wouldn't tell this to just anyone, but there's been times when I thought I'd do away with myself.
Oh, I'm dreadfully sorry, Mrs. Magwitch.
Yes, but I've hung on. Something inside kept saying, hang on, Ethel Magwitch. You're going to meet someone with a certain dash one day. Someone who needs you, and you'll both be happy forever after. Eldon, do you believe in fate?
Fate?
There are forces in this world, Eldon. We're all little threads being woven into the mystic tapestry of life. Don't you see? Fate's knotted us together, dear Eldon, with mystic hands. We couldn't escape now if we wanted.
No, Mrs. Magwitch, I don't think that... I mean, fate... Well, all that's happened is...
Exactly. I knew you'd see it. Oh, Eldon, I can't tell you how happy I am.
Please, Mrs. Magwitch,
Eldon, look at the time. Oh, it's just flown. Back to work now, dear. Tomorrow, dear Eldon, I'll be waiting right outside at noon.
I've never been sure which hit me that day, the car or Mrs. Magwitch. The next noon, she was waiting faithfully outside the office, and we went to lunch again. I knew perfectly well what she was aiming at, that she was like an express train bearing down on me, and I was powerless to get out of the way. The days that followed are quite hazy. I don't even recall proposing, but I must have some way or other, because suddenly we were married. Immediately afterward, I had an inkling how life with my new companion was going to be. Now that you've seen the house, what do you think, my dear?
Small. That's what I think, Eldon. Not at all what you led me to believe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've always thought it quite roomy. Margaret and
This
I...
furniture's helped us, too. What's outside those doors?
Oh, they lead to the garden. Come along, I'll show you. I was saving the best for last. There you are, my dear.
Oh, Eldon.
Yes, I thought you'd be surprised. There's something about flowers. My happiest hours have been in this garden.
Biggest waste of property I ever saw. A waste of time and property, that's what it is. Knocking about in the dirt for a lot of colored weeds.
You don't like flowers? Not at all?
You might as well know it now, Eldon. There are going to be some changes around here. I have some plans.
Plans?
We're not going to argue about it. We'll discuss it at the proper time. Now, go in and wash your hands. It's lunchtime.
Marriage, that is a successful marriage, is based on compromise. So I let Ethel have her chromium furniture. It was hideous. It was only the beginning, though. Our first 6 months were a whirlwind of changes. My clothes, musical taste, everything. The only link left to my former home life was the garden. I retreated there whenever I could. Then, one evening, I came home to another surprise.
Oh, Charlie. No, you don't mean it.
Now, this is really funny.
Ethel?
Oh, so you're home. Well, just look who's here, Eldon. Charlie.
So this is Eldon, eh? Hello, Dad.
Dad? You mean this is your son?
Well, of course he's my son. What's the matter with you? I told you about Charlie. Don't you remember?
I'm sorry, my dear, but I'm afraid I don't.
Eldon, I distinctly told you about Charlie. You tried to embarrass me.
Now, calm yourself, Mum. It's nothing to get in a row about. I'm here. That's all that matters to Dad. Isn't it, Dad?
Well, yes, of course.
Of course. Now, how about joining us in a little drink, eh?
We're celebrating dear Charlie's release, Eldon.
Release?
From the Navy, that's what Mum means. Don't you, Mum?
Navy? Oh, yes, of course that's what I mean.
How about a nip for you, Dad? Say when.
Oh, thank you. I don't drink.
Don't drink.
That's right, Charlie. Most ordinary little man you ever saw. Well, now we're going to talk about Charlie. We're going to help Charlie, Eldon.
Oh, we are?
In a business way, Dad. Now that I'm living with you, Mum thinks I ought to be doing something. A little business, all nice and legitimate. Mum told me about a plan. I think it's lovely.
Plan?
I told you I had plans, Eldon. First time I saw this place. Now, just never you mind. It's for Charlie.
That's right. No sense in troubling you till we get it all worked out. It's going to be a regular gold mine, Dad.
Gold mine?
Charlie and I will handle it, Eldon.
Yes, but I'd like to know something about it.
At the proper time, Eldon.
Yes, my dear,
Eldon, you're being trying again. Now, you run along out to that garden of yours. You may not have it much longer.
That's right, Dad. You're going to see some big changes around here. So enjoy it while you may.
Now, I was a firm believer in compromise. But it was dawning on me I was doing more than my share. I resolved that whatever their cryptic plan, it was not going to include my garden. Since they refused to discuss it in my presence, I was forced to discover it in my own way. The opportunity came one evening a few days later as I was spraying my roses for insects. I loathed them, destructive little beasts. From the corner of my eye, I could see Ethel and her son by an open window in deep conversation. I moved toward the window carefully.
No, Mum, I don't think it'll be best that way. The bar should be over there against that wall.
Well, I'm afraid that wall's a bit small for the bar, Charlie.
Well, we don't need a big one, Mum, with all the tables and chairs we're planning on.
Well, don't forget now, we're extending this room out over the garden. No sense in cramping ourselves.
You're right, Mum. But any way you look at it, we're going to have the sweetest little tavern this side of Buckingham Palace. Couldn't have picked a nicer bit of property.
You know your mother, Charlie, always merry with an art of business.
But when do we inform the little gardener? You know, he might throw a bit of a fuss.
Him? Oh, I'll wrap him around my little finger.
I couldn't believe my ears. There were only 2 words to describe my reaction. Something snapped. This monstrous express train of a woman that had crashed into my life was now aimed at my garden. Any feeling I might have had for her left me completely. I was going to stop her, and I was capable of the most drastic means. Later that evening, when we were alone, I gave her one last chance. Ethel, I have something to say to you.
What?
It's about your plan for the house.
I've told you, Eldon, I'll discuss it with you at the proper time.
I already know about your plan for this nice bit of property, my dear.
Oh, you do? Just what have you got to say?
Don't try it, my dear.
You see, now that's exactly what I didn't want you to know. You're just not a businessman, Eldon. You're content to live in your backward little way, depriving those who love you. You're the kind that has to be shown, Eldon.
I'll give you one chance, Ethel.
Eldon, you're going to make me angry in a moment.
Either you agree to a divorce immediately
or... Divorce?
I advise you to agree.
You advise me to what?
Do you or don't you?
Let me tell you something, Eldon Bottle. I love you. Try and divorce me, and I'll break every bone in your body.
Then there is nothing more to say. By the way, my dear, I'll be spending tomorrow night in the city.
Why?
It's the annual audit of the books. I'll be working quite late, so I usually spend the night in a hotel. Otherwise, I hardly get home before I have to be at work again.
All right, Eldon. Business is business. Charlie's off till the end of the week, too.
Oh, he is? You'll be all alone?
Oh, don't worry. I'll enjoy myself. Now, you run along to bed.
As I left the room, I turned to look at her, seeing her for exactly what she was. A monstrous female beetle perched on a chromium chair. It was only a matter of extermination. I awoke the next morning calm and resolute. I left the house carrying my small bag of overnight things. Lying on top was my pair of sharp-pointed garden shears. It was poetic in a way, but also just the sort of handy weapon an unknown housebreaker might grab up and use. As I neared the station, I made casually sure that Constable Wiggins noticed me.
Morning, Mr. Bottle.
Good morning, Constable. Lovely morning.
Looks like you're going to spend the night out, Mr. Bottle.
Oh, you mean my bag? Yes, it's my annual audit, you know. The one night I spend in London.
Oh, don't tell me it's that time again already. The time certainly flies.
Yes, doesn't it?
Well, have a good night, sir.
Thank you, Constable. I shall. The rest of my plan was simplicity itself. Proceeding to the office in my usual manner, I would immerse myself in the annual audit. At dinner time, I would check into a hotel, then return to the office and work until 9 p.m. Returning to the hotel, I would slip out the service entrance and go directly to the station. The train to Watford ran all night. With reasonable luck, I would be back in the hotel by 12. As I planned, I arrived in Watford at 10:05. There was a moon, but I cautiously kept to the side streets and made my way unseen. It was all working perfectly. I slipped into the garden and crept up to the garden door. Took the shears from my inside pocket.
Who's there? Charlie? Who's there? Charlie? Who's in here? Eldon! What on earth? I thought you were staying in London. What's the meaning of this?
You're not a human being, Ethel. You're an insect. And I'm going to destroy you.
You're going to what? Put down those clippers this instant, Eldon. What do you think you're playing at? Jack the Ripper?
They never caught Jack the Ripper. Did you know that, Ethel?
I'll give you just 5 seconds.
I'm sorry, my dear.
Oh, Eldon, stop it. Why, you little beast. You're trying to kill me.
I'm going to, Ethel.
You little beast. Drop those clippers. Drop it. I'm going to break you in two.
She was like a demon. My sides were being crushed. I couldn't breathe. I lost the initiative. I had to retreat. I dashed for the garden door.
You're not here.
She was coming out after me.
You little beast. I know you're out here. If I don't get you, the police will. You better pray for the police.
She started for the other end of the garden. I waited until she got there, then ran for the street. The only safe place was London, and I went there. It was hardly a surprise when I arrived at work the next morning and saw the police outside the building. It was useless to run, but I preferred giving myself up to Constable Wiggins. I went to a phone and called him.
Oh, yes, Mr. Bottle, where are you? I've asked the London police to pick you up.
I've just seen them outside the office. It won't be necessary. I'm returning to Watford on the next train. Don't worry. I'll come right to the station.
In a moment, we continue with the concluding act of Suspense.
Higginbotham here. We will now commence our lesson in stereophonic reproduction. Listen to the call of the spotted mill snicker on ordinary stereo. Now then, on a Columbia Stereo 1 phonograph. Obvious difference, what? The Columbia stereophonic system really causes all others to blush. For it is not composed of just a few separated speakers. Columbia is the originator and exclusive purveyor of stereo projection. Only Columbia fills every inch of a room with real, lifelike sound. Now, when I was bird watching with the Duchess of but let that pass. You simply must hear the Stereo 1 phonograph by Columbia. Ask your Columbia phonograph dealer for a demonstration. And, chaps, portables are priced as low as $39.95. Consoles commence at $129.95. Lost that bird.
Sit down, Mr. Bottle. Oh, this pains me, sir, knowing you as long as I have. Oh, I'd like to make it easy on you, but the circumstances make it impossible.
Oh, it's very kind, Constable, but I quite understand. Could we just get on with it?
Oh, yes, sir. Your wife's still quite nervous. You know Dr. Penrose, don't you, sir?
Hello, Mr. Bottle. Good morning, Doctor. You mean my wife's still here?
Oh, yes, sir. Now, there are two things, Mr. Bottle. Maybe you'd better explain the medical part, Doctor.
Well, Mr. Bottle, I'm sorry to tell you, but your wife has suffered a complete mental collapse.
My wife?
Yes, the medical name is paranoia. Specifically, she's suffering from a fixation that you were at home last night and attacked her with a pair of garden clippers. I'm afraid it's quite severe.
Oh, no. You mean you think?
I know it's a shock, but there just isn't any other way of saying it, Mr. Bottle.
Oh, she was just wild last night, Mr. Bottle. If I didn't know you was in London, I'd have half believed her. She's that sure of it. It's a good thing it happened here in Watford, where we all know you, sir. Says you came at us saying you were Jack the Ripper.
Oh, she did?
Yes, she's quite convinced of the fantasy. They always are, you know. Now, I don't like mentioning commitment, but I think you'll understand when you see her.
See her? Do I have to?
I think you should.
This way, Mr. Bottle. We've had to keep her under restraint in one of the cells.
Oh, so you finally caught him, the little beast. You're going to get 50 years for this, Eldon, and my solicitor will sue this police department. Well, open it. Let me go. What are you waiting for?
My dear, I'm so sorry. It just breaks my heart.
Why, you nasty little muckworm. He came at me. Tell them, Eldon. Tell them.
I think you'd better leave her now, Mr. Bottle.
He came at me. He said he was Jack the Ripper. Let me out of here. I'll make him get there. I'll break him in two. He's Jack the
Ripper. Sit down here, sir.
The wisest thing now would be commitment, Mr. Bottle. It would be dangerous if she won't.
Yes, Doctor, I'm afraid you're right.
And if you'll just sign these papers, sir, I'll call the sanitarium. It's fine.
How long will it be before she's released?
I don't think I can predict until another examination.
Now, there is a second problem, Mr. Bottle, but I don't have to tell you now.
Quite all right. Please do.
Wait, I've found a circular from the Liverpool police. It seems they want a certain Ethel Magwitch for bigamy.
Bigamy?
Oh, it seems she married two other chaps and did them out of their property. That's what the circular says, sir. I'm very sorry. I know it's an added shock to you, but... oh, Mr. Bottle, maybe you'd better go home, sir.
Yes, I think I will. My flowers need watering.
Poor chap. Those are two terrible blows, Constable.
Yes, sir. But it's a funny thing, Doctor. I could have sworn I saw him smile.
Suspense.
You've been listening to The Beetle and Mr. Bottle by Richard Chandley. Included in the cast were John Gibson as Mr. Bottle and Kathleen Cordell as Ethel, with Mason Adams, Patricia Baxter, Ian Martin, and Guy Rep. 2 weeks from today, Room 202, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense on CBS Radio.